Yeah. Damien Cole with XLT Podcast. I'm here with Zak
Hey, what's up?
Aghbal. And we're on the rooftop of a building in Saigon, District 4. I don't know the name of this building.
Trésor,
That?
which means in French treasure, right?
Oh, the Trésor. Ooh,
Trésor.
fancy. So Zak is a creator, YouTube aficionado, technological genius.
Really?
Really good with making videos. Man,
Thanks.
very professional looking stuff this guy does. Want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from?
Yeah, no worries.
We don't ask that question anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I'm originally from Morocco, and I've been living outside of the country for almost like 7-8 years now.
Right.
And I've been living in Vietnam for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And basically what I did before was freelance design, graphic design, and fitness training. So I was like doing a bunch of things, a trainer, designer, and also doing like public speaking. Now I'm more, I would say I'm more into video production and marketing.
Right.
So basically on YouTube I have a tech channel called Minimal Nerd.
Right.
And I do I cover tech. I like to say as minimal as possible, but that's my goal. Any topic that surrounds like MacBooks, Apple devices, PCs and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I also have a different kind of like video thing going on, which I'm trying to launch bigger and bigger, which is the video marketing part.
Yeah.
So like trying to help people like business owners or professionals, coaches, anybody who needs some kind of social presence to make compelling videos online.
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot from my own experience and doing work for other people. So I want to bring that knowledge to help other people make really interesting videos for their business or their services or whatever. And I've been living in Vietnam, like I said, for 5 years, and I would say it's my real home now. So I feel home here, and I feel very very content. That's the word.
Nice.
To be living in Vietnam.
Nice. Yeah, me too. I feel the same way. So what you're doing, the marketing I've heard some people say Nike isn't a shoe company. Nike's a marketing company.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like marketing is everything now.
The branding and the marketing of Nike, for example, is what makes people buy the product.
Right.
Because anybody can make shoes. And by the way, like the factories that make Nike shoes, they actually work for other companies and other competition. And maybe as a new business, you can hire the same factory. Yeah. But it's not about the shoe, because it's the same kind of thing, like the same material and stuff. Yeah. What people buy is the swatch, or what they call it, the swoosh, the Nike swoosh, the brand. That's what people buy.
Yep. It's a new world. You're not just putting billboards up on buses and stuff. It's all digital. You got to have somebody like Zak.
I mean, the billboard thing and the TV commercials and the Super Bowl, big companies like enterprise, big companies, they tend to be slow when it comes to change. Right. So the reason you're still seeing those kind of things is because there are people with suits and ties making decisions, and they are very slow when it comes to social media and change in general. And it's been the same way, like for any kind of new let's say technological advancement, like from the radio to the TV, they usually take a long time because there's a bureaucracy, like there's a hierarchy. So the decision is coming from top, going down, and those things I mean, I've never worked in let's say a big corporation, but I have friends who did, and it's basically this kind of like the decision of making a decision that comes from somebody who will make another decision, and it's like, oh, if that decision is made, then we have to check with this department, and it's like decision is like being thrown around like candy, you know,
Right.
and that takes a lot of effort and time, and that's why a lot of big companies still struggle with branding.
Yeah.
Except, for example, Nike and the smart ones like Starbucks.
'Cause I guess, I mean, if your company is one of the big ones, you're making money anyway. Why would you don't want to change anything too quickly if you're
Yeah,
already
like
making money.
the change sometimes is very scary for
Yeah.
big companies
Yeah.
because it means, like you said, like it means it's either you're gonna do it too quickly,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna have some issues in terms of profits. But that's what most companies care about. I mean,
Mhm.
any business cares about profits, right?
Yeah.
So if you're gonna make any change, like, and you're not sure exactly about the results, it's really hard for them to jump on the new trend or the new viral thing. But I think it's changing now because they have no choice.
Yeah. So speaking of new trends like NFT.
Sorry if I was talking too much about business. I mean, I don't know where
No.
this podcast is going, but
Nick,
let's go.
NFTs coming in now.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, this is XLT. This is expats, locals, and travelers. But we want to make everybody feel at home, and we want to show that everybody is out here being an expat. You could be a digital nomad. You could be a creator. You could be a tech guru. You could be, you know, whoever you want to be. But that is true. Let's get into. So, how did you choose Saigon? Did you just spin the globe and just and it was just Saigon?
No.
Or?
I have a very specific story about this.
Okay.
So basically, I was living in Istanbul, like 2014, 15 era, and after 1 year in Istanbul, I was planning to renew my residency for the second year.
Yeah.
But something happened that was really out of my control, and it was kind of like a global phenomenon, a global event, I would say. Do you guys remember when Erdogan had a coup d'etat? Erdogan, or Erdogan is the president of Turkey.
No.
2015. Do you remember when the military tried to take over the country? You don't even recall that?
Is that part of the Arab
Spring?
Spring?
No,
No.
it just was like a
Before.
military coup.
No.
The military of Turkey
They don't
tried.
tell us the real news in America.
Really, it was a
right?
big deal all over
It
the.
was probably
the news.
America probably did something.
I mean,
to it.
when I like last
Yeah.
time I checked this, I mean 2015, like when I turned on, I don't know, CNN or whatever, they were talking about U.S. being in. I mean, they were talking about. Let's say, like they were talking about the Pentagon or some, you know,
Right.
like military agencies in the U.S. being in kind of like
Cool.
a red emergency state,
Yeah.
because Turkey was basically it was a very strategic position for the U.S. military and
Right.
NATO,
Right.
and
is.
the military was doing a coup d'etat. But anyways, come back to my story, not about politics. It's just like, so that happened.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
I was not in the coup, but I mean I was there in Istanbul when it happened,
Yeah.
and it was the last week of my stay.
Oh shit.
So really great timing.
Like,
So
couldn't wait a week. Fuck.
yeah, so that's what happened. Like, it was a scary experience.
Right.
You could hear jets overnight.
Damn.
Like, yeah, so I saw some glass splashing on the street because
Yeah.
the jets, the sound of the
Right.
jet,
Right.
like broke the glass of
Yeah.
some houses.
Shit.
Yeah, they were flying so low and stuff. And the really interesting memory I have of that event is that it was both cheerful and scary. So
Yeah.
you could hear people cheering the coup
Yeah.
and people crying at
Yeah.
the same time. So the country was split in like
Yeah.
half and half. Maybe the same what happened with the US. Like
Happy and scared.
50% they want the military to take over
Yeah.
and have like what they call I forgot, like what they call the secular. They want a secular state.
Okay.
And the other people who are like Islamists, whatever, they want Erdogan to be in power. So so it's like the country in half, and I'm in the middle of that shit. You know?
Yeah.
Can I swear in this?
Yes.
Okay.
You can.
Yeah. So I was in that like messed up situation, and I had to decide whether I'm gonna stay in the country for one more year. Because like I said, this happened. If it happened in my like the middle of my stay,
Yeah.
maybe it's not an issue. I would not even recall this experience.
Right.
But I really remember this because it happened at the last week of my stay. So it was a very big deal for me in terms of, first, I don't know if there's gonna be a country after 3 days,
Yeah.
because I don't know what is a coup. Like I remember the first thing I did was to go to Google and Google what is a coup d'etat, which basically means the military taking over or whatever. So I had to know what that is and what it means. And then the second thing, like what it means for me as a resident here.
Right.
So am I going to be able to leave the country? So I heard some rumors on Twitter back then that the country would be shut down. The airport actually was shut down the first day or the 3 days. Nobody could come in or go out of the country. It's like, oh, am I stuck here? What's happening? So it was very confusing in terms of like what I'm gonna do or what it means for me. But something happened after 4 days, I think. Like the president kind of came back. I mean, I'm not recalling this correctly. Maybe it was 2 days or 3 days. I don't remember. But it was a failed coup d'etat.
Oh shit!
It didn't actually happen. Like I didn't succeed in what they want to do. Because I think if I remember this correctly, the president of Turkey was back. Was going to Izmir, which is like a southern city from Istanbul, for vacation. And while he was, on holiday, the military tried to take over the country. So it's kind of like a funny thing, like they tried to take it over while he was, having a fun time. So he had.
I gotta cut my vacation short. And
Yeah,
took over
it's
the
a funny
city.
thing. So he kind of like. He made an address to the Turkish people via like social media, like it almost looked like a vertical video, like a TikTok video.
Yeah.
And he gave that. Wait. I remember. So it was the national TV channel, because the military took some TV channels. They went with the the military guys with guns and stuff, and they took over the news, like the media, right?
Yeah.
'Cause that's what you do, I guess, when you have a coup, right?
All the media.
Yeah, exactly. That's the first thing they did, by the way. But there were some other channels that maybe they were local or maybe outside of their control. So I remember exactly that. The lady or the news anchor, she put her iPhone like this, and you can see on the iPhone is the FaceTime of the president of Turkey,
my God.
and she put it like next to. I remember next to the microphone, so people can hear him. As like. That's how he addressed his people. And I think he said to people like, go out and make a revolution, or like they want to take our country or something like that. So, and people went out, they listened to him. Wow. People who support him, they went out, and there was some kind of like, of course it was a violent event, some bloodshed, people went in front of the tanks and in front of the soldiers and stuff. And it was a very messy situation, of course. But coming back to me, what it means for me is just like, I felt unsafe in that situation in terms of staying in that country, because there were some I don't know, some attempts like suicide, like bombing attempts in Istanbul. We could hear about them when I was there. So it's like, oh, this is not a safe country. Like it was safe when I came, but it's like, what's happening here? Like 2014, 2015, it was like kind of changing, whatever. I think it's because of the political stuff. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Turkey is a very divided kind of culture, or like especially in Istanbul, because I remember living in so Istanbul is a big city, right? And you have the Bosphorus Sea separating the city into two parts, east and west. And the eastern part is a different culture or different philosophy than the western part. So the western part is more like a European kind of style of thinking, whatever, more secular, free, like liberal, I would say. And then you have the western part with like more Islamist and conservative and stuff like that. So and I remember going between the west and the east side of the same city felt like going between two different countries or whatever. So yeah, that's what the thing about Turkey. But anyways, I don't want to talk too much about politics, but it just, for me, it was a big event in terms of what I do and how it relates to Vietnam, is because my friend Gideon, who's a Brazilian, and we used to live together in the same apartment in Istanbul. He had a job opportunity in Vietnam, and he knew that I was interested in like in entrepreneurial or like startup stuff, because I had my first startup while I was in Turkey. It was a website for coaching, like coaching or like personal development coaching that you can have anytime, anywhere. So basically what's happening now, I tried to do back then.
Yeah.
Of course, the project did not really see the day, the light of day, and I had to scrap it because of financial reasons.
Yeah.
The website was too much to take on. It was like I was trying to make a Netflix of coaching.
Yeah.
Like you can click. That's what I see people doing now. It's like, wow, interesting. I had the same project, but it's like you can click on any coach. Like if you have especially for people with anxiety and some kind of like psychological, issues, or you just want to talk to someone.
Yeah.
So you can just click on the coach.
Yeah.
And you can see if they're available in like 30 minutes or 1 hour, and you can talk to them face to face.
Wow.
Like a Zoom call, whatever.
Damn.
And I tried to do that back then, like 2015, whatever, without having any knowledge in terms of coding and stuff.
Yeah.
So I had to hire people to maybe develop the website. By the way, it was called mindsetty.com.
Right.
So like mindset at the end y.com.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I faced a lot of challenges in terms of financial stuff. I just worked my ass off to kind of like put my own money in the project.
Yeah.
I had no I had no backing in terms like, I don't know, people in the US and other countries, they find like funds and seed, what do you call them, like the investor rounds.
Right.
Yeah, round A, round B to.
I know.
For investors.
Seed
like,
money rounds.
Seed money, whatever. I had none of that. I just had to do it myself.
Yeah.
Like, I can't ask anybody for money.
Yeah.
Because I have nobody around in terms of family, whatever. Even my family, they were not really rich or whatever.
Right.
And they were back home in Morocco, so I had to do it myself, and it was really tough. Like almost, I think the whole year I spent in Turkey was just like I couldn't see travel around Turkey or see some nice places or whatever. I was just working on this, like I'm in a new place, new city, a new country, but I'm just working my ass off for this project, and I faced a lot of issues, of course, of how to finance it, or how to make it work in terms of the technical part, but also the biggest issue was the chicken and egg problem that a lot of people can face when they have a startup, especially the educational startups.
Yeah.
And it's like you want to bring the coaches in and the users at the same time. So when I remember I used to DM some coaches and personal development coaches on Instagram. I'm like, hey, I have a platform I'm building, a blah 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 for coaching. Are you interested? They're like, yeah, of course. How many users you have? I'm like, oh, we're trying to work on that.
Right.
And when you try to reach the users, they asking where are the coaches. So you have to bring both at the same time, and that requires a lot of finances.
Yeah.
And one of the, if you guys know Udemy, which is the biggest online university now, udemy.com.
Yeah.
So Udemy had the same issue that I had, but they hacked it, and the CEO talked about this. They went to universities.
Like having it in one take. All right, so.
Yeah, I don't even remember where we left, but it was like the business, Udemy and stuff.
Right. Oh yes.
So anyways, just to quickly finish that story, is like because of that experience, I kind of had to leave the country, and my friend was talking about Vietnam because I was like in the startup thing, and he said Vietnam is like is a big hub for startups, entrepreneurs, people who want to start their business, digital nomads, blah blah blah. And he convinced me, and I was like, oh, I was very skeptical, but he left Turkey 1 month before me, and he came to Vietnam. So he had like a 1 month experience here, so it put me at ease in terms of he'd been there, because I had no idea what Vietnam is or where or what, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went to Malaysia first, spent like 3 months there or something, and then I moved to Vietnam, and then after 1 week in Vietnam, I realized, wow, this is my home. Yeah, just like that.
Yeah, you did.
Sorry for the long story. I mean, that's the reason I came here.
That's what we're all about. All about stories, man. Yeah, so people come here, they either hate it or they fall in love with it, man.
Yeah, I met both types, I'm more into the positive camp. Because I kind of like maybe people don't know my story, but we can get into that later, maybe about my life story in terms of somebody who like almost drowned. So I have a second chance in life, or third chance when we talk about it. For me, I am grateful for the things I'm enjoying in Vietnam, and stuff that people complain about, like traffic or pollution.
Yeah.
For me, I have a bias because I don't see them like in the sense of like, oh, that's a negative thing. Like I don't see it because I have so much. I have so many more things to be grateful for.
Yeah.
That it trumps that, you know, whatever you can complain about, because no place is perfect, right?
Right.
So for me, Vietnam or Saigon is just like a wonderful place to be in, and I understand. Like I'm trying to be compassionate in terms of understanding other people's perspectives. So I understand why those people kind of feel that way, right?
Yeah.
Maybe if they don't like Vietnam or the traffic or whatever, I understand that. I just don't agree with it, or it's not something that I feel personally.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes, because it's not a good or a bad thing. It's just a thing.
It is what it is.
Everywhere has something.
Yeah.
And that you could look at it as a negative thing, or you could look at it as just, hey, that's part of the charm.
Exactly.
Or,
it's part of what really makes it interesting for me, right?
Yep.
And it's like you can always find ways to make it positive or fun for you as well. Like that's what I did with the traffic.
Yeah.
Like when I came here, people were like, "Oh, you gotta be careful with the traffic, and it's gonna be really." I really enjoyed it. I felt like I'm in Fast and Furious.
Me
you know?
too. Me too.
and I kind of had this habit of like putting music on and just like driving with a very joyful vibe.
Yeah.
And it actually made a big difference in my life in terms of enjoying commuting and stuff. Like I'm looking forward to go back to that. So, and that's what I said. Damien can tell you the same.
Yeah.
That's a huge contrast of what other people said.
Yeah.
That's kind of the negative side. It's like it's a nightmare or it's a scary movie.
I got off the plane. I saw that. I saw 50 million bikes going around a circle. I was like,
it's weird at first, but
like, I want
to be in. Yeah, exactly.
I want bumper cars on
and
bikes.
it looks like chaos, but it's a different kind of organized chaos.
Yeah.
Because you don't see much accidents or stuff.
When you first see it, you don't know the rules of the road, but then you start learning the rules of the road. Like if someone's coming straight at you in the wrong lane on the wrong side of the road, you know, that's one rule of the road.
Get out of the way.
Yeah, it's just different. Like, just get out of the way. Don't get mad. Like, if you get mad, you're gonna be getting mad.
That's what I learned in Vietnam. Like, people are so efficient here in terms of like dealing with conflict and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, if something happens, like even when I see like let's say an accident or somebody bumping in someone, people they just want to move on to their life. They don't want to stick in that place and like you know just okay, sorry, and they go away. Yeah, that's it. I didn't see that in Turkey, in Istanbul. I mean, America. Istanbul traffic, if you guys are familiar with it, it was a nightmare, a real nightmare. I mean, it's a more organized country in terms of infrastructure and traffic and stuff. Right. But when people like, it was actually more aggressive. That's my impression. Right. In terms of the people shouting, for example, if somebody cut them off and stuff like that. And I saw some real conflict there in terms of traffic. Yeah. Even though it was, let's say, more industrialized or more organized in terms of infrastructure, right? Vietnam or Saigon is getting better, of course, but in terms of the chaos, you have more chaos here, but less conflict. Yeah. There's the opposite. More conflict, but less chaos, if that makes sense. It's really. Yeah. And I've seen something similar in other European countries, even though they are kind of praised for having like a perfect system of whatever.
America has road rage like you wouldn't believe, like, and everyone's suing each other. Like you tap someone, they're gonna sue you. Like, oh, my neck, I need $20,000. Here, I saw a cab do a U-turn in the middle of the street, knock this lady off her motorbike. Yeah. Cab driver jumps out, helps her put the mirror back on and put you know, her floorboard, and then she's just like, okay, thank you, and drives away. Yeah. Like in America, you'd be suing that cab company. You'd be lying on the ground. Ambulance will come. There'd be investigators. Here, it's just like, you all right? You really? Okay. All right. Fine. Don't worry. Oh, you broke my mirror. Shit happened. Yeah.
I've been thinking about this a lot recently. So I've been here like 5 years, like I said, and it's something that I consider part of the culture when it comes to people who dealt with the worst that humankind can offer.
Yeah.
If you think about it, Vietnam has been through the worst,
Yeah.
the Vietnam War, and it's like, because I like, okay, I like to understand why people are the way they are, right?
Right.
The psychological part of it.
Right.
And it was always like a mystery for me, like why Vietnamese people are so happy, joyful,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying this is correct. This is my theory. It's a theory.
Yeah.
I think because they went through hell
Yeah.
for a long time. When you come out of that, you just realize that, hey, we don't want to go back to that. We want to be, we want to be peaceful, happy, and joyful, right? And it's not something that I say from my own like understanding. I heard other other people like Jordan Peterson and other people talk about other cultures, like Japan, for example. They went through like nuclear kind of like disaster and stuff, and those people, they when they come out of it, because they've seen the real war, the real suffering,
Yeah.
when they come out of it, it's usually a positive thing. Like they want to live in a positive state.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say this about the US, but I heard Joe Rogan say this, so I'm gonna say it because I believe the same thing. The US did not see real war,
Yep.
except Pearl Harbor.
Right.
I mean, within the states, it's like within
No.
the territory of the state, not
Right.
outside wars.
Right.
The US have never had,
On
after the
on
Civil
their
War,
soil.
after
Right.
the Civil War,
Yeah. Yeah.
there was like no like war, real war.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I'm not saying that war is good, just to be clear. What I'm saying is that when you analyze these kind of things about cultures and how people adapt to them, usually when you have something so bad happens, what comes after it, it's usually more positive. I don't know if that's correct in terms of human history all throughout, but I feel like going back to what Joe Rogan said, is because a lot of people in the US, they like kind of like not looking forward, but they're like pushing for some kind of civil war. And I heard him say like, you don't know what real war is,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you've been living in like some, like the economy is booming, everything is going well for maybe 80 years or whatever, since World War II. Even World War II was not really impactful for the US within, except Pearl Harbor, right?
Yeah.
So like, for me, those kind of things makes a good perspective about how human life is shaped by events.
Yeah.
And coming back to Vietnam and how I feel about it, I keep that in mind all the time. Like when I'm here, like when I see people happy and stuff, I feel grateful for being here, but also I understand that things can go wrong so easily.
Yep.
And if you have a good place, good food, you're alive, for me that's like the basic thing for being grateful. I don't have to have a nice car or more income, whatever. That's the basis. Like for me, it's even more basic than that. I woke up.
Yep.
I went to sleep and I woke up. I'm alive.
Yep.
And it might sound strange for somebody my age, like I'm 30 years old,
Yeah.
but I always feel like I'm 80 or something because of kind of like my life story or my experience.
Right.
Because that gives you a lot of perspective in terms of how to see life and how to appreciate the moments you're having.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an old soul. Yeah, and those, and a lot of people, I guess, haven't traveled outside of their comfort zone. They haven't been to other countries. So you're right. They are like, they're just like, hey man, this is my life. This is how I'm living.
Yeah.
And I like it. I don't want to go outside of the country. I don't want. Why would I go there? Why would I go there? And they have preconceived idea about this country or any other country. And then if you actually come here, it's totally different. Then all my friends who were like worried, oh my God, you're going to Vietnam. It's probably got murderers and bomb craters and
I've never felt safe in my life.
Yeah, it's a safe country, yo. It's so incredibly safer than San Francisco, which is a pretty safe city. But like Chicago or like, you've seen shit on the news. It's 70 people get shot in a weekend in Chicago.
It's crazy. But you guys have
Here, there are probably not 70 people shot all year out of 100 million people. Like it's, cops aren't shooting anybody.
People are peaceful generally.
Yeah.
They just want to move on with their life. And
Yeah, and it's relatively like free. It's like
Yeah.
it's free. Like you could do what you want. Like you could, you know, it's you
Yeah,
know,
people honestly, like in my own experience, people like keep talking about the West has in freedom, or,
Yeah.
like, in terms of like you can do whatever you want. But
that's,
I've, in my experience, again, in my
Yeah.
experience, I've seen less judgment in
propaganda.
Vietnam
Yeah.
than any other European or Western country.
Yeah, me too.
Like
It's
if you
crazy.
you can be gay, you can be LGBTQ,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
You
There's
can
a
do
lot
whatever
here.
you want
Yeah.
here, and people don't really judge you. It's
Yeah.
like part of the daily life.
Yeah, yeah.
Because people have their own thing. Everybody cares about
Yeah.
their own thing. But I've seen that in Europe and maybe in the US. Like
Yeah.
there are some people debate those kind of things. You don't see those kind of debates here.
No.
It's just like, do whatever you want.
Nah, I got kids in my class that are obviously going the other way or whatever, and no one
Yeah.
like they treat them like a normal kid. They're not
Yeah.
like, oh, you're different.
They kind
You
of
go over
celebrate
there.
that in a
They
way.
do.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, even
Yeah.
like in America, that a straight guy might look at a non-straight guy and be like, oh, I don't want to be friends with him.
Yeah.
Especially in high school where it's like everything's magnified. But here it's like they don't really. I don't think they're really tripping as
Discriminate
much.
in that sense. Yeah. I've seen it because I've
Yeah.
been teaching for some time, and
Yeah.
I've seen it in different social groups, like classes, students,
Yeah.
normal people, adults, everybody. Like
Yeah.
it's just a thing in Vietnam culture that people don't really put a lot of emphasis on identities and like who you are and what
Yeah.
you're doing.
Yeah.
Do your thing,
Yeah.
and unless you're making conflict out of it, or you're
Yeah.
you're pushing the buttons or whatever,
Yeah.
you'll be fine. Nobody
Mhm.
cares.
And I mean, there's still bullies here, and there's still
Yeah.
like that, but not like in my high school in San
It's
Francisco.
it's a
people-
more
people-
compared to the U.S. and even Morocco when I lived.
Right.
The bullying here is very cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, the level of it, it's like
The bullying back home is like they're bringing a gun to school and
Yeah,
fucking
that's real,
stealing
yeah.
your fucking Walkman.
there's
you
a
know?
big difference.
Yeah. So yeah, it's much more peaceful living.
And that's by the way, that's the word I was looking for before. Like how I feel in Vietnam. Like
Yeah.
people ask me all the time. Like I feel cute.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sounds weird.
Yeah.
Like,
It is cute. It's very cute here.
everything here is cute. Like,
Yeah.
and here's the funny thing. Like when I came to Vietnam, I realized that those kind of like, how can I say, those kind of sorry, those kind of words and like perspective about being cute and stuff.
Yeah.
If you go to Morocco or Europe or
Yeah.
Turkey or even I think in the U.S.,
Yeah.
people would think that was like gay
Yeah.
kind of thinking.
Yeah.
Think something is cute.
Yeah.
But here, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
It's just cute.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, like it just like I felt so peaceful and happy here in that sense of like nobody judging you.
Yeah.
Because like I don't consider myself a gay person. I'm
Yeah.
straight, whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't. How can I say this? Like when I can feel that if in Western countries, if you
Yeah.
say, oh, this is a cute thing, people would think you're maybe gay or something,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
what's wrong with you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But here it's part of the culture.
Yep.
I had students who are adults and they talk that way, like
Yeah.
they're like man or whatever woman, and they say, oh, this is cute, and for them it's normal.
Yeah.
But if you go to the West and other countries, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
oh, a taboo, or like
Yeah.
you cannot say that, you're a
Yeah.
man, you have to be
Yeah.
masculine, and
Yeah.
like nobody gives a shit here.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
a culture that really has no restrictions. And for me, in terms of like the how you interact or how you say things or whatever,
Right.
which me is real freedom,
Right.
not the freedom that's kind of like just on paper, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I say about Vietnam. Is a cute country. People are cute. When I say cute, I mean more in behavior than in looks.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like the behavior is cute.
Yeah.
You can see like people are, the way they bow to you, like hello, you want to get coffee, they're like hello sir, do you want coffee, and like yeah. And you do something or they say something, it's kind of funny, and like
Yeah.
and you can see this innocence. That's the word, because I lived in tough places in
Yeah.
Morocco, and
Yeah.
and I've seen what tough means.
Yeah.
Like you said, like
Yeah.
I lived in a neighborhood in Morocco where people have like swords fighting and stuff like yeah, like kind of gangster stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen what tough means.
Yeah.
And actually, it was for me one of the reasons that I left the country. Not because Morocco was like Morocco is a very, very safe country,
Right.
but just the culture was kind of aggressive for me, for
Yeah.
my taste.
Yeah.
Because I believe in, because of my near-death experience, I'm a believer of like being peaceful
Yeah.
and just having no conflict with anybody, because it doesn't do any good to anybody to
Yeah.
have conflicts, and it's usually come from the inside. If you have something boiling down inside,
Yeah.
it will come out in some way, shape or form, right?
Yeah.
So for me, like, I had to leave the country because of the culture, the aggressiveness that I felt. And Turkey was not so much different from Morocco in terms of the aggressive kind of culture, like the conflicts, and even the language sometimes can be aggressive, right? I'm not talking about people punching. It's not a boxing country,
Yeah,
people punching
yeah.
each other in the street,
Right.
but you can feel it in the culture
Yeah.
or in the way people talk. But when I came here, I felt like I almost cried the first week because of how joyful I was.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It's like you see those comments on YouTube. People say my faith in humanity is restored.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
I didn't write it on you. I
Yeah.
felt it. I
Yeah.
felt it. Oh, there's a country where people are so happy and
Yeah.
peaceful and joyful, and like
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that was possible.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea about Vietnam. I just came here by accident, like explained. So for me, it was like, wow, I felt happy.
Yeah.
Imagine like you found your place in a way. Like,
Yeah. Yep. And and San Francisco's got a lot of crazy street people and stuff. I mean, Vietnam, they have a small amount compared to like San Francisco. So yeah, when I'm walking around, I don't see like downtown San Francisco.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, yes, they have like people that are like that
attitudes
here.
and stuff.
But people really take care of each other here. Like, there's
Yeah.
services and
And here's the thing, like I asked my girlfriend, she's Vietnamese, and I asked because I love, like, that's my thing. I love understanding cultures,
yeah,
why people they are the way they are.
yeah,
That's like if I didn't do YouTube or maybe like go to engineering school, I might be a psychologist.
yeah,
Because I was the psychologist of my family.
Yeah.
Like I am the youngest of a family of 7, and I'm always the one that I'm the youngest,
You
but
see
I'm
it
the
all,
psychologist.
right?
People come to me, like my brothers or sister, they come to me for like psychological help.
Yeah.
Like I remember even my sister when I was like 14, she had a boyfriend and she had an issue with him, and she come to me and I'm like the one giving her like consult. And
Right.
so that's the thing for me. Like I love doing that and I love
Right.
understanding it. And when I ask my girlfriend, is like she's never had any catcalling experience, and I've never seen it in Vietnam. I'm talking about
Very,
catcalling.
Very rare, very rare.
It's almost non-existent compared to the U.S. or Europe or even Morocco, which is
Yeah.
a very common thing. Like a girl, walks by. and-
I've heard Western
like you can see
women
girls here
call
going
it.
by, even like
Yeah.
it's almost like an underwear, like
Mhm.
skirts or whatever.
Mhm.
And there's a security guard. He's maybe in his 50s, whatever,
Mhm.
and he's just like playing games on his phone.
Yeah,
He doesn't care.
yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah,
That's something that I observe, and it's a very interesting perspective for me about how cultures deal with things. And I've seen that in many other countries where girls or like women in general, they cannot just walk around
Oh, yeah.
in a sexy dress or
Yeah.
like nice clothing.
yeah,
But here you don't see that much,
yeah,
and that tells you something about how people see each other in the culture.
yep,
It's very, very, very peaceful in terms of that stuff.
yep. I have heard of like foreigners, Westerners getting been kind of excited and stuff, like the local guys.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, that's
Yeah, that's the thing. Like if you go to
Probably-
the Facebook groups and stuff, you can
Yeah.
hear all the negative stuff, and
Yeah,
it make it look like all Vietnam is there.
Yeah,
But I've been
it's
here,
not.
like I said,
It's
5 years. I've been around almost all parts of the city and the country,
Yeah.
and in my personal experience, it's almost non-existent.
yeah,
And I think it has to do with who you are as a person as well.
yeah,
Because like we all have bias. Like I'm not saying like that I'm unbiased. I already said that I have a bias for being positive.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for the positive.
yeah. Me too.
So if you have that kind of bias, which is normal in life, because I don't think life is either that or this. Life is life. It is what it is.
yeah,
And because we're human beings, we have a mind to think with.
Yeah.
We kind of have, it's like a game.
yeah,
You choose.
yeah,
It's like you start the game and you have a character.
yep,
You want to choose this character or that
Yeah.
character. You want to choose positive, negative,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
It's not like life is that. It's a choice.
Yeah.
People don't see it as a choice, but I do think it's a choice to be positive or negative about things.
Because it's like, you're going, and then something happens, and like,
Yeah.
then there's two ways you could go. Like the way you react,
Mhm.
the way you react to something is more important than the thing that actually happened. Like,
Yeah.
Like, let's say, okay, your
A volcano.
Your dog died.
Think about a volcano.
Right?
A volcano is a phenomenon of nature,
Right.
but
right.
it can be fascinating to
Yeah.
look at.
Yeah.
It can be terrifying,
Yeah.
killing people.
Yeah, I love.
But nature doesn't care. Like, it just is. It is what it is.
Have you ever gone on YouTube and just looked up volcanoes?
Yeah, I use, like, since I was a child, I used to watch, especially tornadoes. I'm a big fan of
fucking
tornadoes and the
spent hours
awesomeness.
watching that shit.
Oh,
man.
really?
I just go on
It's
YouTube.
fascinating, right?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
weird like that. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
For me, that's not weird. That's just
Yeah.
who I am or whatever. Just
This is what I watch
Yeah.
volcanoes erupt.
but here's the thing. Like, we're going back to what we said,
Mhm.
they are fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, the power of nature.
Yeah.
And you can, like, oh fuck, like, I think I am this, I am
100
that, I think I am
megatons.
good, I have this
Yeah.
ego, you know. But in front of a fucking volcano,
Yeah.
what should you do?
Yeah.
You're gonna run.
Yeah.
There's no more fucking ego, or like,
Yeah.
I'm better than you.
Yeah.
All that bullshit goes away
Yeah.
when you're faced with something like very real, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, those kind of like comments or moments or observations,
Yeah.
they kind of define how I think about life.
Yeah.
Like, some people might see that, or like what I said now, but you're faced with nature and
Yeah.
your ego goes away.
Yeah.
I try to linger there in that moment of realization, not just let it go,
Yeah.
because that's how I keep myself sane in terms of being positive because of what's happening in the world. It's really hard to stay positive nowadays, right? Especially with Twitter and social media.
Yeah.
But if you can find a way to remember the basics of life,
Yeah.
that life is what it is, and whatever you believe and you think, it's just part of your psychic or your process of thinking, but it's not based in reality. It's not real. You
Yeah.
can change it, you can flip it, you can mold it.
Yeah.
You cannot mold a fucking mountain,
No.
you cannot mold the tree. It is what it is. And I feel like when you go back to the basics of what life is and scrape away the bullshit, which is fine, the bullshit is fine, we can all tell ourselves. That's what I love about stories. Most stories are bullshit. Romeo, Juliet,
Right,
Cinderella,
right.
but I love them. When you watch a Disney movie, even like now as an adult, I watch Disney movie,
Yeah.
you want to know the story, what's gonna happen. It's
Yeah.
captivating, right?
Yeah.
But it's bullshit. It's not real.
Yeah.
It's made up. When as human beings, we love to make stuff up.
Yeah.
That's fine. My problem is that sometimes people get stuck into the made up stuff and think it's real.
Right.
And for me, that realization, like I'm doing here with my hands, like there's a big gap
Yeah.
between realizing that something is not real
Yeah.
and something is just made up or part of our thinking that we can change. And if you realize that, you're free, really free in terms of thinking and questioning and, you know, inquiring about life. But if you don't feel that, if you don't have that realization, you're kind of stuck into
Yeah.
that box.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt, to be honest, when I was in Morocco. I was kind of like, I was a magnet. Okay, not a magnet. Okay, how can I say this? I want to visualize this. So I was bouncing back. So imagine this is like a box, okay?
Right.
And I'm like inside like a dot
Uh-huh.
trying to get out.
Mhm.
So I hit the wall, come back, hit the wall, come back. I couldn't see how I could get out
Right.
until my, like I said before, my near-death experience,
Right.
which helped me get out. But it's not get out. It's just like get out of my fears and my own limitations, and then do the stuff that I want to do.
Or was that like your pre-programmed destiny that
Mhm.
you wanted?
I was supposed to be a typical Moroccan guy,
Oh.
have an engineering job, get a that's the progress in Moroccan culture. So you get a job,
Yeah.
a good job, not artist, not an actor,
Yeah.
doctor, engineer, businessman,
Yeah.
manager of
Right.
a CEO,
Right.
marketing expert of a company like Coca-Cola, you know.
Yeah.
Those are the good jobs, right?
Yeah.
And then you get a wife,
Yeah.
you get a house,
Yeah.
Sometimes both at the same time. You gotta get the wife and the house at the same time,
Right.
because that's how you're gonna convince her family
Right.
to marry.
Right.
You have a house already. You have a car.
Yeah.
Very important to buy a car. Get married. You have kids, and yeah, that's it. That's the the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
And I was like, especially with my family and stuff, like I was always very different in terms of questioning things, like I told you before. So for me, that kind of trajectory was like, it doesn't make sense
Yeah.
for me. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like when even my family, they talk about this, they're like, oh, you should do this, you should do that.
Yeah.
I'm always asking why, and what I found out is like they don't have an answer for why.
Yeah.
And I'm a very logical person.
Right.
If you cannot give me why, well, you lost me there. Like I cannot have a discussion with you. So that's what happened with me and the culture, I'd say, like the country, because for me it was like I cannot find answers here. Nobody's giving me answers, right? I'm just pretending that I am with the fold, you know, that I am part of the society. I'm just pretending. Like I remember I used to go to the mosque for, like, you know, Muslim people, they go every Friday to the mosque and pray to God, whatever. But I like, for me it was always like, it's almost like a movie. I felt I'm just playing like an actor. I'm playing a part
Right.
of,
Right.
of this. Why play a part?
Right. Why be the
What's the pressure?
supporting actor?
Yeah, support
Right.
in another
Be
person's
the
life.
star of your own movie. right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I was an extra in
Yeah.
and my family, and my
right,
family is
right,
not, they are
yeah.
not the main character. They are also extra for some narrative.
Mm.
I don't know who's the director. So somebody made up all this shit a long time
The
ago.
man behind the curtain.
Yeah, so that's how I felt. I was like, oh, I'm doing this. I'm pretending that I am a Muslim, for example. I'm pretending that I believe this, I believe that, because otherwise, especially like if you guys listening from other, let's say, European or Western countries, it's a very difficult scenario in a conservative Muslim country to say that you don't believe this or that, like especially God.
Oh, yeah.
Like in the US, it's a very open discussion. Even
Right.
if you're Christian,
Right.
and you can have a friend that doesn't believe in God,
Yeah.
it's atheist, whatever. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
In Morocco, it's still not that case. If you say I don't believe in God, people would think of you as like an alien.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like this doesn't even it doesn't even calculate or like compute for them that you don't believe in
Like
God.
closing the windows. Don't,
Yeah,
don't look at him.
yeah. So it's very, very tricky, and so that's how I felt. I was like, why am I stuck with all this bullshit? And what really triggered my thinking of like leaving was my friend's funny comments. So I had a friend back in university, and he was a funny guy, and he knows what I feel and think and stuff. And it was like, oh, you don't belong here. And one time he said to me, hey man, I think you are a geographical error. You're supposed to be maybe born in Australia, US, or I don't know where.
Right.
But what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah.
You're not a Moroccan.
Yeah.
Like what? Like I have nothing to do with the culture or the country.
Right.
Even I used to have very few friends. Funny thing, most of them are now either in Europe or the US,
Right.
because
Right.
they also couldn't live there. We had
Right.
like our small bubble of like
Out of the box thinkers.
out of the box, because I remember my friends back in high school or like university, they're just like
Yeah.
talking about girls.
Yeah.
That's all they talk about.
Right,
They go
right.
to a cafe,
Right.
they have some, some cappuccino or some espresso,
Yeah.
and they keep talking about the girls passing by. That's what I meant by
Yeah.
catcalling.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
that's what they do. And I want to talk about life. I want to talk
Yeah.
about
Oh,
philosophy. I
God.
want to talk about,
Me too.
I just want to talk about something. I don't want to talk about girls and stuff,
Yeah.
because I could talk about it for one moment,
Yeah.
but not my entire life is based on that.
Yeah.
And that's what they do all the time.
Yeah.
That's what they know. Smoke weed, which Morocco is famous for, hash and weed, and talk about girls. How are you gonna screw this? How are you gonna do that?
Yeah.
How are you gonna get her?
Yeah.
This kind of like, how can I say, like very manipulative kind of like
Yeah.
scheming
Yeah.
around that.
Yeah.
I was very like, I felt it's gross.
Yep.
And it's like, why the fuck I'm here? Like I don't want to generalize and say the whole culture
Right.
was around that.
Right.
It was mostly the man culture,
Right.
especially the boys and the
Yeah.
the guys in the university and stuff,
Yeah.
mostly talking about this.
Yeah.
And it felt for me like, so I go back and watch YouTube and watch maybe, let's say, some not philosopher but like a personal development coach like Tony Robbins, or like the other one, my favorite, Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
So I was just like, So the contrast is so huge. People talking about how to make a business or how to make a good life, and people here are talking about bullshit and stuff. And it didn't help that I came from a small town, which is even worse. Because if you live in Casablanca or big cities in Morocco, maybe you can have a small bubble of people who are like intellectual. But I had the worst of the worst case, which is a small town in Morocco, a mining town. So mining for phosphate. And so it was a mining town, very small, like maybe like less than 5,000 people, like I don't know, live there. So most people who live there, they work for the mine.
It's small. There's probably 5,000 people in this building, man.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's like a very small place, and of course, when I hear people say the same about small towns in the U.S. and any countries, like everybody knows everybody. It's like everybody's looking at what you're doing, and for me that was like, oh my God, I have to get out of here. I did not know why. I did not know how I'm gonna get out, but I knew I had to find a way. And one of the things that I did was at the end of before getting my degree, so I quit engineering school, which took me like 6 or 7 years to get there. It's like being a doctor or whatever. It takes a lot of time and investment. So I decided like I was 21. I had my first drowning, I had my near-death experience, not my first drowning experience, but my near-death experience. I drowned in the sea of the Atlantic Ocean. So it was Casablanca, Ain Diab, which is a very small kind of beach area. We're not supposed to swim, because it's a surfer area. You know, surfers, so, they go for big waves.
And
currents. And that's what happened. Like at that stage, I was actually not bad in terms of swimming. Like I had my first drowning experience when I was in the pool. Like I told you, I was 16. But after that, like my brother tried to teach me how to just like do some basic stuff, like the frog or whatever, swimming and stuff, but not like a swimmer, just to survive, right? But I remember like when I swam in the ocean or in that place, I couldn't get back. By the way, it happened with my sister. We both kind of drowned, but I drowned. She didn't drown. So it was me and my sister.
So, mind if I ask, how did you get pulled? Who pulled you out?
That's the story. So it's a funny thing. That's why I drowned and she didn't. That's part of the story. So we were both of us. My sister is also not a good swimmer. She's I'm the youngest, so she's older than me.
The Atlantic is no joke.
Was that?
The Atlantic is.
Is, I mean, it's big waves. Ocean, And so we were not supposed to swim that far. What happened is that we were swimming like near the, what do you call, like the edge of the shore, the shoreline, like just like knee level, whatever. But I don't know how, but just waves start coming, and then we realized we cannot find the bottom anymore. We kind of lifted up. So like, what the hell what the hell's going on? And so and then we tried to go back, but we couldn't. We just getting drifted.
With riptide.
That's what they called it. I can tell you later what happened, because the surfers, they told us that. But anyways, like getting dragged, and we're trying to swim back. Like I was not drowning in terms of like I cannot swim. I can still stay on the surface. But I lost all my energy, and my sister as well, to get back. We're trying to get back, we can't get back. And at that moment, you start to freak out, because we knew that we cannot swim forever, right? When you freak out, your energy just goes down, and you like cannot breathe, you cannot synchronize, And that's what happened. Like I start to just like feel that we're gonna drown, and I told her, and I think I don't remember. I told her, she told me like we have to scream, and we like scream so loudly for help. And some people saw us from the shore. Luckily, there was a surfer. He saw my sister. So my sister is like having this kind of traditional, kind of like Muslim culture, like pink. She had a pink coat. She cannot swim in the tradition with like bikini, whatever. She swim with a kind of coat, pink coat with. So it's a coat, right? It's very visible.
You can see it, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. So the surfer saw her first. And they saved her. He put the surfboard to take her back to shore. And that's where Zak was drowning. And what happened is, that's what my sister told me. She also, like, she was like, very tired and like, coming back from this experience. Exhausted, of course. And she was like, where's my brother? And they said, "What brother?" They thought she was the only one.
Yeah.
So that's why I was drowning and she like got saved.
Yeah.
And that's what like I was like going down and like almost that's it, because if I actually drowned in the ocean, they could never find me.
Right. Right.
So I was just almost like there because I felt somebody like catching me, and then I just went unconscious.
Yeah.
And what they told me before after what happened is that it took 9 people to take me out, and I feel like I don't know who they are now,
Yeah.
but I feel so grateful for them,
Damn.
because some of them they tried to save others,
Yeah.
because you know why 9 people? Because it's the ocean. Some of them tried to come and save me. They
Yep.
also got stuck, or it's like really, and those guys, they were like actually somebody who want to save somebody. It's not like they're I don't want to say professional, but they know how to swim. They're good at that, at swimming.
Yeah.
But they also struggled to get me out and get their friends or whatever.
Yeah.
And they told me it took 9 people to save you. And I don't know, they did CPR or whatever, and I kind of felt I came back. It was almost like I don't. We can get into that later, but
Yeah.
just to finish the story, like how I felt. But yeah, so after they told me like, my sister told me what happened is like, oh, she also was crying because she thought I was gone. I was like crazy and stuff, and yeah, so we were first. The reason it happened because we were not supposed to be there. The ocean had some. We were not supposed to be in that area because the surfers, they call it a ring or a current or something. It's like something in the sea or the ocean where
Right.
you get dragged,
Yeah.
and there's no way to come back.
I think we call that a riptide because the
It's
water
like
comes in, and
yeah.
then there has to be one way for the water to go out. So the tide comes in, and there's like one channel. If you swim in that channel,
Mhm.
it's impossible to beat the current. You gotta
Yeah,
swim left or right.
there's no way for us to get
And
back.
in California, they have signs all over the beach. Like
Yeah, I
Riptide
think
beach.
that's what the surfer told us. They
Yeah.
told us that I don't know, the local municipal community, they fucked up and they
Yeah.
forgot to put a sign or something,
Yeah.
because we're not supposed to swim there. It's a
Yeah.
very dangerous area.
Yeah.
And we were so happy that day
Yeah.
because we was like, oh, the beach is empty,
Yeah.
so we're gonna have fun here,
Yeah.
Anyways, so and my brother did not know anything about this. That's the funny
Yeah.
thing. Like, so it was me, my brother, and my sister.
Yeah.
So me and my sister, we were swimming. My brother was very tired, and he slept through all the things.
Damn.
Yeah, we came back like what happened? It's like, what happened?
Yeah.
And he's like just waking up, like
Yeah.
So it's so crazy. Like, I mean, when I think back at this, it's just like sometimes I don't know why I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be here
Yeah.
because of the circumstances. Like
Yeah.
the current was, and the only thing that really saved me and my sister was the surfer guy,
Yeah.
because he had a board.
Yeah.
Because he was the one like when they told me some details, he was the one coming forward and back with some other people, like 9 people, so they tried to save me.
Right.
One guy was like bringing me back, but he
Yeah.
also lost his energy.
Yeah.
So they tried to save him, and it's like fucking crazy, yeah.
Damn.
And because of that surfer guy, like the board, they could actually fight the current.
Yeah.
Like, fuck,
That's crazy.
it's like a movie.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, that's my second or third chance in life that I'm living now. I'm on borrowed time.
Yeah. Well, you're playing with house money now, so
Yeah.
you got nothing to lose now, you know?
Exactly.
Damn, yeah. Yeah, people say that near-death experience will change you. You'll be like, well, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to live.
Yeah.
Like, I know life is fucking short. I know you could die anytime, so why I don't want to be an engineer.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to fucking travel. I want to show me something new because
I wanted to be a psychologist, like I told you.
Yeah.
But my family, they said that that's not an option.
yeah,
How can I make money?
yeah,
Like, for them, it's like if you don't
Yeah.
if you can't make money from a job,
engineers
and not business.
guaranteed, right?
My family was really not a business oriented family, because I know in the U.S. or other countries, even Morocco, you can find some families that are maybe the father was a businessman, the grandfather, so at least there is a notion of business.
Right.
My family had like, for them business was like just scary. Maybe people are stealing money, that's how they
Right.
make money.
Right.
So for them, you have a job or you don't, that's
Right.
it. There's no other option.
Right.
I had to learn all of that, like entrepreneur and business
Yeah.
from online, from people, from Joe Rogan, sorry, not Joe Rogan, from Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, and also Joe Rogan now. But I mean, like from other people online. Just what is business, and I had to Google stuff. You know, I had no notion of like, and of course I had a big admiration for like guys like Bill Gates. You know, which one? Elon Musk was not big back then, so I did not know him, but now I know him, of course. It was Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, all these guys that make great things, but my family was like, oh, you can never do that. Just forget about it. I want to be an actor, you cannot do that. I want to be a psychologist, no, you cannot do that. So for me, just like there was one way, or the highway, and I took the highway.
I think we talked about this when I did your podcast. It's like, usually it's like your family or friends that's telling you, oh, you can't do that. And you're like, oh, shit, I guess I can't do that then. But you can do it.
That's the cultural thing, by the way, about Morocco. Like, in general, it's a very, I don't want to say toxic, because that might rub people off in a bad way.
Because they're not intentionally.
Yeah, that's the culture.
Trying to
put you down, but that's what they know. That's the best they know.
Exactly.
And it's part of the idioms and the proverbs that people say. And I always question them. For example, there's a saying in Morocco that says, I can say it in Arabic, so people, so people say this like "Maddir khair ma yatrabas," which translates to English like, if you don't do good, no bad will happen to you. Like, stay away from trouble. Translate to stay away from trouble. If you see something, you know, happening, don't jump and be the hero. And that, for me, that never made sense. But it's part of the culture. Like, don't be a hero. Don't try to do something good. You know, you're gonna bring it on yourself.
Walk your path.
You
see, don't stick your head above the
exactly.
Line,
just those kind of things were so dominant in the culture, the proverbs and what people say, and it really affected how people think about life, business, what you can do, the dreams, the possible. And so I did not, to be honest with you, at that time when I was very young, I was just, like I said before, struggling between what I feel inside and what's the outside telling me, my family and culture. So I was like really struggling. And I think what really started Zach to kind of like shift his thinking of like, oh, wait a second, this part is just where I live. There's something else out there. People think differently. Is when I was like 13 years old, maybe 13, 14, my brother, he was the engineer, like I told you. I have two engineer brothers. So it's like the family of engineers, whatever. And he went to Miami, Florida. So he loves traveling. So he loves Dominican Republic. He went there like 20 times. At least that's what he can do with his like job as a director of the mining company. By the way, it's the same one. So he makes good income in terms of Moroccan standards, like let's say $4,000 or $5,000 a month. For Morocco, that's a good one, because he studied in like, you know, big, you know, university, school, whatever. But that's his path anyways, and he always just does this thing, like after his vacation, like summertime, he goes to other countries, Greece, Dominicana. And one time, like when I was 13, he went to the US, Miami. He loves the beach and stuff, Ibiza, whatever. He came back and he told me about the US and he showed me some pictures. I think that's the moment when I start to, I don't know, just become a different person in terms of, oh, so the US became the American standards, or not standards, because now people have different standards. So what America is about became an ideal for me, of maybe I can go there, maybe that's how people, like maybe I can live like that, you know what I mean? So because I had no idea before what other option there is, you know? And so I was like always listening to him about his experience in the US, and he talks about big buildings and people are free and blah, blah. I was like, wow. And I remember the first week he told me this. I remember went to the Cyber Cafe, or like the Cyber Cafe, the internet cafe. You can pay some, you know, few dirhams, and then you have some internet access. The first thing I did was Google the American, the US. We did study about the US, by the way, in Moroccan schools. There's a section of US. Like there's like section of Europe, of like history, and there's a section of the United States. It's usually about, you know, entrepreneurial stuff and
I'd like to read that.
Yeah, it's so funny. It was part, I think, of the geography class, whatever.
Right.
So I didn't have a notion about what is the U.S. It's like the biggest, the greatest, everything is great, whatever.
Right.
And I was very excited about the U.S. Like, oh, fuck, I want to go there. But like, after my brother told me about this, the first week, the first thing I read, I remember this. My English was not great. It was just like basic stuff, but I learned by myself. I read the U.S. Constitution.
Wow.
From the founding fathers.
Wow.
And I cried.
Wow.
I cried. Like, I remember crying, because I was so young, 13 years old, and I felt like, fuck, there's a country with this kind of beliefs and standards. Yeah. And I cried. It's still like now I'm kind of feeling like emotional about it, because it just felt like I was saved spiritually. Yeah. It's not like I'm not even going, like nobody took me there. Yep. But it's just like reading the U.S. Constitution, and I did not read all of it, but basically I read especially the parts of like everybody should be free, and like so it's freedom, everybody should be treated with respect, and I was like, that's part of the Constitution. Yeah. It's not what people say, it's part of what the country rules are. Right. And it really like shaped, like it really changed my whole being in that sense. And I cried. I don't know how long I cried, but I felt like that's it. Wow. There's a country with this kind of beliefs. And it was not mostly about American culture. Yeah. It was the actual ideals of the country that really got me like, wow. Yeah. That's something that exists. And I think from there started my attachment to the American culture. Because my family, they used to call me the American guy. Because I talk about America all the time. Yeah. Even in school, the American guy. Even in university, I made a club called the American Club, where we talk about, it was like an English club where we speak English, but we also talk about American stuff, and So I was very kind of like the American culture was like not escape, but how can I say this? It was a way for me to see a different option in life, and I felt, hopefully in the future I can live there, get there, or be part of that. Yeah. So it gave me some kind of hope, or a way out, at least spiritually, or in terms of beliefs, or like ideals. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And that's how I learned English. The only reason I was speaking English when I was back in school, because I felt that I could separate myself from the culture by actually learning the language, and the language is part of the culture. So it also shaped my way of thinking from a very early age. Because I didn't learn it in school. I learned by myself.
That's crazy. And then,
I know. I know it's a crazy story, because I remember when I was outside, I used to fake phone calls. You know why?
Oh, like prank calls?
No. So I used to hold my stupid Nokia phone. Yeah. Talking in English. Yeah. Because I couldn't do it in public, or with my family. Family, they could understand. At the beginning it was difficult, because like, why are you speaking English? You have to learn French. I already know French from school, and I hated French, by the way, because of I have nothing against French. I have French friends and everything, but it was always about this kind of so the US for me was always against the French culture, American culture versus French culture, because the French was more about protocol. Everything has to be this way. America was like freedom. You do whatever you want. So I was more into that, and Moroccan system of schooling is basically based on French system. From because I studied in a French school when I was in kindergarten. Right. I learned French before Arabic. Wow. Before Arabic, and then you have a mix of them, and then you start to basically learn in French, like high school. From high school to university and engineering is basically all French. And for me, the English part was more like a cultural escape, not just the language. Right. So I remember I used to fake that I'm making a phone call, so I could be. So I'll be able to speak in public and practice, because I love practicing English. And I talk to myself, like, because of the psychologist kind of part, so I have two characters. Wow. I am talking to someone else, and I'm pretending I'm talking to someone else, and I'm having a conversation for like 2-4 hours, just talking. And even my family, they couldn't believe like how my English improved without any school or whatever. Because I had to do it.
Because you wanted it.
Yeah, man. Exactly. I had to find a way.
Yep. And thing I wanted to say about that is like, yeah, we Americans, we don't know that. We don't know that people are discovering that, and then we find out when they move here, they're like, yeah, this is way different than our home country. And we grew up in that freedom, and we grew up in that society, so we take it for granted. That's why I try to encourage people to travel so they can meet people like that, and you'd be like, damn, we do have a fucking.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I still have plans to move to the U.S.
Yeah.
Until like, of course, I want to move with a more stable and financial free kind of like status in terms of like, I want to go there very comfortable, you know, not struggle.
Yeah.
And Vietnam or Asia is a good way to kind of build a business or something online to move there, and that's my plan, to live in the U.S. and have the American passport. But I still have a feeling that I'm gonna be very successful in the U.S. Because of what I said. Because all those kind of like, I don't want to call it privilege because it's gonna have a bad note. Like, let's call it like rights or freedom, whatever you want to call it, that people are enjoying in the U.S. I'm gonna squeeze every part of that because I didn't have it. So for me, that's not something for granted. That's not for granted. So of course I'm gonna really try to maximize the how can I say, my appreciation, but also my use of that. In terms of, you can do whatever you want. It's a free country. There's no excuse to be lazy. Because everything, like for example, when I told you about the mindset stuff, the startup, I'm sure that if I was in the US or San Francisco or even in a small town in the US, I would have some kind of access to investors. In Morocco, and when I had no idea how to do it. Like, where is it? There's and I discuss this sometimes with some of my Canadian or American friends. Is like they also have no idea how difficult it is for people who are outside of, let's say, Europe or US, in terms of like getting access to those kind of things. Because like, for example, with my passport, I cannot go to some places, but you can just pick up your, I don't know, your bag and backpack and go somewhere. For me, that's not for granted. But I used to like, so the funny thing is that when I was in Morocco, I felt always kind of like, why? I felt bad about it, of course. I felt like it's kind of unfair. Why life is unfair? Why somebody is born somewhere else and they have more privilege than, like, why life is like that? But here's the thing, that's when I was young. After my kind of spiritual progress, I would say, now I see it as a grateful thing that happened to me, because I have this kind of perspective. Now, if I go to somewhere where you have a lot of freedom or a lot of rights, like I said, it just gives you not the basic, but I mean the platform to do whatever you want to do. And you can see it because you don't have it. If you eat chicken all day, and the next day they're gonna give you chicken, you're like, fuck, chicken all day, I'll have it all the time. But if you come from a cave eating worms and dirt, they give you chicken, you're gonna devour that, right? So that's my perspective. Like, I still can't believe how much opportunities are in the US. Like, even now I'm doing some kind of online business with some people in other countries, like US customers and Canadian, Australian, and I still can't believe how much people are like, in terms of like opportunities and what you can do. It's, for me, it's mind-blowing. From my background, where I came from, it's mind-blowing. It's incomprehensible. I cannot even put a number on it. I cannot say it's 100 times better. It's like more than that. It's incredible.
That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people.
And sorry, just want to add something. Because I had some friends in the US who actually come from small towns, and some of them, they are born in the US and they live there. They also have a very similar perspective about opportunities. Like, what I'm saying is that you don't have to be like living in born in Morocco or like in Zimbabwe to appreciate. You can be in the US, but in a different kind of like social status, or small town people will appreciate more what the city offers, you know. So those kind of things can happen with different kind of backgrounds and perspectives.
And that's a lot of my friends in San Francisco is super multicultural. So I would meet people that came from all over the world, and their parents came here, and the kids are growing up here, so they have their parents' culture where it's like, damn, like we're lucky to be here, and then I don't know if they lose it or it's just like, hey, we're here already. So
it's really hard to fake the it's really hard to fake the hunger for opportunities. If you are given something for granted, move on.
Right.
You cannot fake the feeling that you didn't get it.
You're not hungry.
You got it.
I got everything.
And some people try to they try to come up with some story about their life being difficult. It doesn't work. It has to be difficult. You have to suffer to feel that. Otherwise, you just pretending that it is, and it doesn't do anything in terms of consequences or drive. The drive that I had to go to the US to learn English, I don't have now. Like I actually sometimes I want to go back to the kind of like crazy childhood drive that I'm learning English by speaking to myself like a crazy man everywhere because I wanted, because it was so like the hunger for it, or like the desire to get it was so immense. I didn't have to read a book about how to do it. I just found ways to do it, which is interesting because now even sometimes I feel lazy about like now I'm in a very comfortable state compared to where I came from, right? And that's for me is now a hindrance,
right?
In terms of getting that crazy drive, Like I feel comfortable in Vietnam financially, spiritually, physically, whatever. And that energy that I had when I had nothing was so powerful. I didn't even have time to think about how to do it. It just do it. And now like I'm reading books, I'm listening to podcasts about motivation, personal development. I'm like, I'm full of shit. Because if you really have the drive, you just fucking do it. There's no question.
There's no motivation. There's only
the motivation is the drive itself. What motivation? Like do it. I have no other choice. But then when you start to become comfortable, like, oh, I have options. I can build a business here, or can I do that? Oh, I want to be, let's talk about me. Like, I want to be a tech YouTuber, or I want to be like a video marketing expert. Oh, so maybe I can do this. Oh, I need motivation for that. So you see, the drive has to be kind of fabricated in a way because the options are more comfortable. But if something really happens that just, you have no choice, you just do it.
I'm trying to think of a quote about being comfortable kills your
I mean, it's fine. I'm not complaining. It's just part of life. Because after you achieve your goals, that's the comfort zone, right? You did it. That's it. You're here. You have to, I don't want to say you have to, but if you want to go to the next stage, which is the part I'm in now, I'm trying to find what's my next stage, I say I want to go to the US, but still it doesn't feel that kind of drive that I had when I was a child, because it felt impossible back then. Now it's almost like, oh, maybe, or possible,
Well,
it's really interesting.
When you figure out exactly what you want to do and you're ready for those investors, you're gonna get that.
I think the goal.
Oh, shit, I gotta get to California. And
Exactly.
There was fucking angel investors and start doing rounds. And look for that, because there's people that just sit around looking for people like you. Like, I need to find someone that's gonna fucking be the next unicorn.
Oh
and I'm sitting on a few million. I'm ready to fucking get in on the ground level. And there's tons of people like that in America. That's all they do. They're just serial investors, and they you got an idea and they're like, okay, let's do it. They may lose money every so often, but usually, if you find the right investor that's gonna give you that money and
it's kind of tricky thing, because that's not my goal anymore, to be honest. Like I just want to build my own business and be in control of it, because whenever you do that, you get the money, but you also lose the control, and you become you become an employee of this investor,
like Steve Jobs when he got fired from Apple, right?
And a lot of people, like even some of my friends, they built a company, but then they got investors. They got the money, but then they're miserable in their own in their own company or startup. They built the thing, but now the decisions are made by people who gave them money. So they become an employee, and that was never my intention. Like, I want to be free in the sense of I don't want to be a billionaire or like a multimillionaire. I'm okay with like $2 million in like Yeah, $2 million a year or $3 million
Yeah,
a year
me
when
too.
I'm like 50 years old.
Right.
Like, I used to be the other way, by the way. When I
Yeah.
came to, even when I came to Istanbul, Vietnam, I was like I had this kind of like young, I don't want to say stupid, but it's basically this kind of naive, foolish
Right.
idea of like, I want to be a millionaire in 20 years.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
be like the, digital nomad
Yeah.
in the sense of the word. But then when you faced with the punches from life,
Yeah.
real life, and also
Yeah.
from people like Gary Vee and
Yeah.
people who had the real experience, you're like, wait a second, like I can do in 10 years some really good things that
Yeah.
build strong foundation for a business or for my life in the next 20 years without going crazy.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to sacrifice everything, like life, family, everything to get there.
Yeah.
And it's a choice, of course. And for me, it was like, it was the idea of becoming a millionaire, so I can. It was always because of my background, like they didn't believe in me, so I'm gonna prove them wrong, right?
Yeah.
So they said you're gonna be a failure, I'm gonna be a success. They said you're full of shit. No, I'm full of good things. So those kind of things, they were the motivation to have those kind of like big crazy dreams.
Yeah.
But once you start to mature and understand that you don't have to chase those kind of things just because of what people said. You have to find some kind of inner reason or why. That's maybe not very fiery, not very flashy,
Yeah.
but it's like strong and
Yeah.
small,
Yeah.
strong and long term, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I felt about my kind of like Vietnam experience, because Vietnam was kind of like a cool down for me. It was like, oh, I feel comfortable here, I feel good,
Yeah.
like in terms of money, whatever, and everything, like in terms of people, like I said, and everything was comfortable. So why would I want to go to that crazy, extent of like just fake the drive to get there? For
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
It's almost like the goal becomes the drive, not the goal itself.
Yeah.
So you just want to have that crazy lifestyle,
Yeah.
and it mostly comes from comparison and like from trying to pretend or look. You want to look the part
Right.
instead of being the part. And the part is usually dictated by society and social media like Instagram. You can see people, oh, I'm a digital nomad working on the beach with a
Yeah.
laptop.
Yeah.
I have money, I have girls, I have everything. Like, oh
Yeah.
wow, I can do that maybe. You can, but maybe it's gonna take 10 years. It's gonna be a wonderful experience, or
Right.
15 years or
Right.
20 years. Who cares? Like I learned to try to enjoy the process more. That's why Vietnam really was a transformational experience for me in terms of like I said, cool down,
Yeah.
like chill the fuck
Yeah.
out. Like okay,
The journey is
you,
part of it.
yeah,
The
because when
journey is-
people hear chill, or like, they think it's more about being comfortable. No, I'm not talking about being comfortable and lazy.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like having goals that will benefit you along the way and in the long term,
Yeah.
not just one way, which is I'm gonna sacrifice everything now and then get this goal, and then what? You lost all your life and all your process of getting there with just like for the sake of the goal for
Yeah.
one moment.
Yeah.
Imagine spending like 5 years having almost no life,
Yeah.
no social growth,
Yeah.
no spiritual growth,
Yeah.
nothing, just for the sake of the goal.
Yeah.
And the satisfaction of getting the goal is only one fucking moment.
Yeah.
If you get one day of joy,
Yeah.
that's a record, right?
It's the journey, man.
And that's it, you're done. I mean, for me, try to focus on the journey. Of course, make it successful journey.
Yeah.
Make it fulfilling and meaningful.
Yeah.
But not to that crazy extent of like, I want to be the next Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
He was the next Bill Gates because he had his own reasons.
Yeah.
Not because I want to be like him,
Yeah.
or he wanted to be like someone else. You find your own thing that you can do and be happy with. And I feel, especially now with social media and all the things that we do, it's becoming more difficult to kind of like get a grasp or a sense of what you really want to do from the inside, not because of what other people are doing. And social media makes it so difficult because of comparison. It's so easy to compare yourself. Like,
Yeah.
you can find another Damien
Yeah.
you're from San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
So another Damien from San Francisco,
Yeah.
living his life in Thailand, maybe the same
Yeah.
age.
That's funny.
Yeah, and you're like, oh
there is
fuck.
one.
Yeah, but I mean, like you might see him and see it on Instagram or social. You're like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, he's
Yeah.
living a great life.
Yeah.
Going to the yacht and fishing, and I was like, wow. And then you start to question yourself and your goals and dreams. And And I feel that's kind of dangerous because what you got from that Damien, you didn't get his life story. You got like one moment, one snapshot
Yeah.
of his life,
Yeah.
and it's usually fake
Yeah.
snapshot. Not that he will make it fake,
Right.
but it's a fake snapshot in the sense of life is not a picture, it's not a moment.
Yeah.
And people can smile when they take a picture.
Yeah.
And after that, they can go back to fighting and arguing and like,
Yeah.
oh, why
Yeah.
don't you see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the funny thing that I see about my journey in Vietnam is like, I kind of realized that trying to build something from the inside out
Yep.
is the most meaningful thing that you can have.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to do with social media. That's why like my strategy now is like go in and go out.
Yep.
So I post something on Instagram and I get the fuck out
Yeah.
quickly.
I know.
Because I've been trapped before, especially with
Me
TikTok
too.
Reels. I'm so good at trapping myself because
Yeah.
I'm always making a logical reason for it.
Yeah.
I want to watch what other people doing so I can make better videos.
Yeah.
And then you don't care about the strategy anymore. You're
Yeah.
just watching for the entertainment.
Yeah.
And then it's like 1 minute becomes 10 minutes and then
Yeah.
1 hour.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very, very addictive. And I felt recently I listened to a podcast on Joe Rogan with I think the guy who made the Social Dilemma.
Yeah. Oh God, that guy.
Netflix
That was
documentary.
good fucking
And
movie.
when he said some of the things, and also there's a psychologist I recommend for you, Andrew Human. I think he's a behavioral psychologist, and he studies human behavior and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna send you his details, Andrew something. I felt that okay, I don't have to work on myself
Yeah.
to be stronger. Just get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Because basically what he said is like you can't as a human being. Because that was my challenge to myself. It was like I want to watch the reels and the TikTok
Yeah.
in a strategic way. Watch 1 minute or 2 minutes,
Right.
and
right.
that's it. Get out.
Right.
And I'm gonna control myself and do it every time.
They make it,
Fucking impossible.
They make it so.
Because it's a very biological
Yeah.
and psychological thing that you cannot fight.
Yeah.
It's very human. Like
Yeah.
you cannot just I'm gonna train myself to be resistant to social media.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
You can't.
I know.
So the only way
I
is
know.
to get away from it in a sense.
Yeah, you wake up in the morning. That's the first thing you check.
Yeah.
So I've been training. Yeah, I've been training myself. First thing I check is like my bank accounts.
Yeah.
So wake up in the morning, look at my bank account. Then I look at my YouTube. Like I don't look at the YouTube channel. I look at my
Analytics,
YouTube
yeah.
channel and look at the. Yeah,
I don't do that
analytics.
anymore, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause it came like I had a viral video one time, like 150,000 views in 2 days,
Yeah.
and it was a very ecstatic feeling
Yeah.
that I had when I saw the numbers.
Yeah.
But then after that, it was like a fucking downfall.
Yeah.
So I learned from that experience that it's better to just stay steady
Yep.
in terms of growth,
Yep.
but also in terms of checking your social media stuff. Like maybe once a week
Yeah.
or 2 times a week is enough,
Yeah.
not every fucking day.
Yeah.
And it's very tempting
Yeah.
because you want to just know what is going on.
Right.
And in most cases, you cannot do anything about it. It's just gonna give you a bad feeling, or like you can compare yourself, like
Yeah.
fuck.
Oh, I missed that. fucking
Yeah,
party.
exactly. And what
Yeah.
they say in the social media,
FOMO.
yeah, the social media kind of like realm. They say
Yeah.
that you always as best as your last video,
Yeah.
or you know like the last thing you did,
Yeah.
which is a very bad feeling, right?
Yeah.
And it's not healthy for you.
Yeah.
It's not. It's never healthy to compare yourself. And
Better.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying that I'm a saint, and I'm trying my best, and it's still one of my biggest struggles in life. It's my biggest challenge now.
Yeah.
Is how can I psychologically convince myself to not look at social media.
Yep.
So some people might have a different kind of like psychological challenge, but recently that's been my biggest challenge. How can I not look at social media and not compare myself?
I quit for
It's very
2
hard.
years, man. I
Really?
deleted all. I didn't delete, but I fucking
That's
logged
what
out of all my shit.
I had
took
a
it off my phone. And
funny-
That's when I was here. Like,
Really?
1 year of being here, I was doing what's the yellow one?
Snapchat.
Snapchat. I was
Yeah.
doing Snapchat, doing snaps, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna quit. And I just quit everything. People probably thought I fell off the face of the earth, but I was like,
Yeah.
I don't care. And then I needed, because I always used that shit for my for my chauffeur business.
Okay.
I'm posting like, oh
Yeah.
look, I got wine and I got freaking. I'm here in Napa Valley doing wine tours. So when I didn't need that, I was like, you know what? Let me just do it. A cleanse, a detox. I think it was like 2 years. I deleted all my Facebook and I was here. I was just like, no one knew what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah.
My mom was like, what's going on? And I was like, oh, nothing. Like, so I was still in contact with like my family, but like everybody else. And I think that it gave me a reset. And then I was like, okay, I found out what I wanted to do. And I was just like, okay.
And you never know, right? Until
Yeah.
you do it.
Yeah.
That's what.
Instead of watching other people, I got
Yeah.
to look at myself. Like hardcore. Like I was alone in my fucking apartment and I was just like, what am I gonna do, man? What am I really here for? And then I started my own YouTube channel after I was like, you know what? I'm gonna jump back in it.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's never too late.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck is too late? Too late for what?
Never, bro. It's never too late.
Yeah.
You could, that's
and I
what
had
a
a
lot of
similar
people
experience
say,
with my previous Instagram. Like I had an account for like almost 18,000 followers, and I deleted it because it was a fitness account.
Yeah.
So because I did a lot of things. So the big part that I missed from my whole life story was the bodybuilding part.
Yeah.
And that's what's really like helped me along the way. So sorry I forgot about it
Yeah.
because so many things are going on.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing that really helped me
Yeah.
build my confidence when I went outside of Morocco and even when I was there was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be the next Arnold
Yeah.
and compete.
Yeah.
And you know, when I shave my beard, people tell me that you look exactly like Arnold, whatever. It's funny. But so I learned about bodybuilding and the story of Arnold when I was there.
Yeah.
And that really got me as well.
Yeah. He's inspirational.
Because he had that kind of like, I felt like a similar story from a small town in Austria going to the US.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it felt like, oh, I can, that's maybe me in the future. Or maybe that's how things work, you know?
Yeah.
And he has a very good, beside the physique, he has a good story and very motivational, right? Yeah. So that what really got me into bodybuilding. And I feel bodybuilding changed my life in terms of fitness, health, you know. I wanted to compete. It was a struggle for me, like maybe 1 year or two before COVID, so 2 years ago. I had a small depressive moment in my life about bodybuilding. If we can get to it, I don't know.
Yeah, 73 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
As long as this thing doesn't.
Anyway, just quickly, just I mean, like I wanted to compete, but I couldn't because I've been training naturally for like 8 years.
Yeah.
But I couldn't go to the next stage.
Right.
Without the PEDs,
juice.
the juice,
Right.
and that was the depressive moment of my life.
Right.
Because it was a conflict between my childhood dream to be Arnold or to be the next Arnold, you know.
Yeah.
And my spiritual growth. I need to think about my long term. I need to think about Zach in 70 years old. So
a lot of people don't. So that's good that you.
But it was a struggle.
Yeah.
I have a childhood dream,
Yeah.
which is a very, like I said, powerful. That's what. Alongside my near drowning experience, it also took me out of Morocco because I built the confidence. And bodybuilding is a very, very, very difficult sport or like very difficult endeavor because it requires a lot of sacrifice and work, pain. It's a lot of pain, suffering.
Pain, gain, yeah.
Yeah, of course. And for me, that was one of the life lessons in general. Like, whenever I have any big problem now, I just go to the gym and I work hard and it's fixed.
Yeah.
Because if I can push through that pain barrier in the gym and really almost feel like I'm gonna fail, like to failure, that's it. You come back from that with a psychological juice or boost because you say, oh, I could do this. So your brain kind of like is rewired into thinking that you can overcome things.
Right.
And that's what really bodybuilding did for me. But I always had this dream of I'm gonna be the next Arnold, so I have to take the steroids. And the funny thing is that in Vietnam, I don't know if you know this, but it's so easy to get them.
Yeah. I don't know. My buddies.
I think they make them here. Yeah, it's so easy. So in Morocco, it was very difficult because I didn't have money, I didn't have access.
I don't even think it's illegal here.
Yeah, nobody cares. But but so I had the choice to do it, I could easily get it, no problem. Like even some of my one friend, he passed away, John. He used to be he used to be a bodybuilder, and he had like a restaurant here. John Master.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. He was the one that's gonna maybe hook me up with the I don't want to get into the legal stuff, but like he was just the one that's gonna give me some advice about not really the where to take it, but just the dosage and stuff, because I don't have. So he almost made a program for me and stuff, like how many to take, because I have no idea, like when I wanted to do it like very carefully, you know.
Yeah.
But that was like 2 months of struggle mentally.
Yeah.
I want to do it, but I don't want to do it. It's like I'm torn away between my dream, my fucking childhood dream, the reason I'm here.
Yeah.
It's like that's what you are here for.
Yeah.
You want to be the next Arnold, right? And at the same time, my understanding of like those kind of goals that are destructive and like those kind of things are not good for the long term. And of course, the big one is the consequences of using steroids is it's almost like a reversible decision. If it was reversible, maybe I would have done it with a bit of like, you know, okay, I can get back. But it's a very irreversible decision because the scary part for me is like, if you, especially when I talk to John and other experts in this, like if you really want to get into it and compete, you have to use some dosage. And my understanding and from what I was trying to do was the classic physique. So for me, I don't need that extreme dosage of like Ronnie Coleman or whatever. Because even now, some people think I'm using steroids because I have natural kind of genetics for bodybuilding. I've been off the intensity recently with COVID. Like I'm a bit fat now, but I mean genetically I'm good in terms of, because it's very rare to have those kind of genetics for bodybuilding from top to bottom. And so everything was like life wants me to be the next Arnold. I have the genetics, I have the dedication, I've been training for 8 years. Everything is like it's on the fucking, like it's on a silver platter, right? It's right there.
And the devil is just in your ear, and the angel
in
this ear.
And at the same time, fuck, if I go this way, I have to keep taking steroids for the rest of my life. And that was always scary for me, because I always thought like I can go in and get out, you know, get the thing, get the trophy, or get the goal,
win a
few and get to maybe Mr. Olympia. That's what my goal was. But like after that, I'm just gonna focus on business, do some online training, and but I don't want to use them. I want to just go back to my normal life, which is the natural focus on health. And it's like in my, maybe I'm wrong, maybe things change, but from my understanding, that's not really possible to just quit. And you have to, it becomes like a TRT thing, you know. And that was like a scary thing. Like, and when I asked people, they said, even John, when I asked him, like they said like, you have to take it like every week. I was like, fuck, every week for the rest of my life. Like, and by the way, I'm a very like I'm always scared of hospitals and hospital care and all this stuff. Like I try to stay healthy because I don't want, even medicine, like I don't try to take a lot of medicine, you know, because for me those kind of things are very like every week fucking take something. Like for me that's like, and for a lot of people that's normal. Like when John like 2 times a week, 2 times, like fine. What if I travel and I forgot it? What if, like for me it's like, cannot do that for the rest of my life, you know.
And it's a roller coaster.
And for a lot of people, I understand. It's maybe easier, not easier, but it's like it's normal for them. They just accept it. But for me, it was a big roadblock. Is there another way? No, there is another way. You have to. So so that was 2 months or 3 months of depressive. The depressive part is because I couldn't have a decision. Right, I'm torn away between 2 options, and so far I'm saying so far I made the decision to not do it. And of course COVID helped a little bit, because this happened before, like it's almost like two weeks or 1 month before COVID. I think like January I was deciding to get on it. And thankfully COVID happened, because then the gyms closed, I cannot train. And also like the access exactly to get there. So maybe that helped. But I mean, for me, even now, I'm still thinking, oh, maybe if I want to do it and be smart about it, maybe I could do it when I'm like 35, because then it becomes actually beneficial with the TRT thing, you know, because the hormonal kind of like downgrade of men usually tends to lead to long-term like chronic disease. And when you do it when you're older, like 30, 38 or 40 or 45, it's actually the best thing you could do at that time.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, oh, let's leave it at that time or whatever. But I'm still torn about this because it was my life goal or dream. And if there's a way to do it without sacrificing your health long term, I would just do it. But like Joe Rogan and other people said, and I think it's true, who does really care about long term health when you're talking about competitive sports?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very different mindset. And I remember that. I remember when I was in Turkey, I had a small competition. I got like third place or something. It was natural bodybuilding, which is not. That's the problem. Like I want to do like I could actually win natural bodybuilding because I'm in great shape naturally.
That's good. That
But
they have their own,
but the problem is that it's not the Olympia.
Yeah.
It's not Mr. Olympia. It's not the prestige, right?
Right.
Because nobody knows about natural bodybuilding. But
Right.
so yeah, I had to kind of like just come back to this sense of if I'm doing it, it has to be for a good reason.
Right.
And now I'm kind of focused on just longevity and it's funny that I'm talking about this like I'm like 65, but I'm just 30, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm talking about longevity now. It's
Yeah.
funny, but I think it comes from my spiritual growth overtook my childhood naive dreams in terms of like, hey, wait a second,
Nice.
why are we doing this? Okay,
Nice.
it's interesting. It's a very interesting thing because back then when I was like really, if you told me about like long term, I was like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Give me the juice.
Yeah.
And I had a strategy. Like the reason like why I took so long before even deciding is because I wanted to do it with a strategic way, which is spend every juice I have of natural potential.
Yeah.
Then I can jump on it because this way I can minimize. Because I remember when I was like in my first year of bodybuilding in the gym, I could see people doing it in the 6 months. They just start training.
Yeah.
And I think in the US is there like a big culture there about
Wow.
like everybody's no competition, nothing, just whatever.
I could tell you stories.
Yeah, please. I was surprised about that when I heard from the gym guys about the US. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
I used to work for professional baseball team, the Giants. And
Oh wow, really?
Yeah,
I know the Giants.
I had Barry Bonds. You know Barry
Giants
Bonds?
from Chicago or Boston?
San Francisco.
San Francisco. Okay.
So this is during the steroid era, bro. And they used to pull up, the steroid delivery guy would pull up with a big bag and just walk into the stadium and then Balco's here. It was called Balco, right? Balco. If you wanna,
Injection, right?
yeah, if you want to Google it later, bro, it's called Balco, the whole Balco thing. And Barry Bonds, he had hit the most home runs ever, right? And he was obviously on the juice. And it was like everyone, it was okay. And then they outlawed it. So, but you're gonna stop.
Yeah,
You're on the top of the planet, bro. You're hitting more home runs than anybody else. So he got in trouble, and now they won't vote him into the Hall of Fame. Like it was a big thing, but 5 years ago it was like the dude was coming in the front gate with the bag, like so.
They always try to find a victim, you know.
Yeah.
Like the Canadian guy, was it the runner, the black Canadian dude?
What you talking about?
It was a big
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson. Yeah. That was the big scandal, whatever.
Yeah, he won like.
Yeah,
how
but
many gold
they
medals?
just like took one guy and put him on the spot and
Exactly.
yeah.
So that's what they did with Barry Bonds. Everybody was taking it. The little guys, the pitchers, everybody. But since he was so freaking much better than everybody else, they scapegoated him. They blackballed him. They took down all his posters.
Wow.
But he was good without it. But there's and like now, because I would walk into the locker room and there's these big signs like steroid use will give you all these side effects, and it's like a fat warning when you walk into the locker room, right? But before, everybody was doing it, and he never got caught doing it. He almost went to jail, like for
really?
lying to the judge and everything.
Crazy.
But it's like, was it worth it? His whole reputation is tarnished. And
yeah, that's the question that really got me. Is the worth?
Yeah.
Is it worth it, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's like It's funny that like I had a Russian friend here back. Maybe 3 years ago or something, and we were having a discussion about this because he was using
Yeah.
he was using growth hormone actually, and in combination with different kind of steroids. And I was like, so we were training in the gym, and we look actually we look similar size, but I'm not using. So it's funny, but like I had a discussion with him, like asking about side effects, and one time he said, "Hey man, you talk too much about like this stuff. Like you're overcomplicating it. Just take it."
Yeah.
I was like, "Do you know the side effects?" They're like, "No." I was like, "Really?" And I knew the guy was not lying to me. He's like, he doesn't care about the side effects.
Yeah.
And for me, that couldn't compute.
Yeah.
How can I take something without knowing the consequences?
Oh.
And it's really I don't know, like now I'm becoming more trusting of myself in terms of my logic.
Yeah.
Because I see some people like you maybe using it, and they look like, you know, they have a successful career, like bodybuilding, shows, competition, win, social media, is big name, Instagram, die,
Yeah. I know, man.
dead.
Yeah.
I was like, oh fuck, not hospital, dead.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second, I'm living my third chance. We just talked about it. Like, let's put things in perspective. And now I'm kind of like, oh, if I'm overthinking something like this, maybe it's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I should be more aware of, like, if I want to do it, how and why, and maybe I should hire like a doctor, like The Rock. I'm sure The Rock does blood work every fucking day.
Yeah.
But he has the money for it, right?
Yeah.
So if I can afford those kind of things, like have a fucking doctor on the spot,
Yeah.
maybe it's fine to do it. But just to do it like blindly and wait or hope for the best,
Right. Right.
for me that's still a very bad decision.
Yeah. Well, good thing that you think about that, bro. 'Cause
I can't
a
stop
lot
it.
of people
I
don't.
tried.
Yeah.
I tried to stop myself from thinking, but that's
Yeah.
who I am. I just
Yeah.
analyze everything. I have to. Like that's like I tried my best to just do things without thinking about it. The funny thing, even my biggest life story of like going from the country was very strategic. I told my parents or my family that I'm going for an internship to finish the school. So they it was very smooth. They didn't know anything about like me leaving the country. So whatever I do is always like about analyzing stuff too much. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like my curse and my blessing at the same time. So.
It's good. It's good to freaking analyze stuff, bro.
Yeah, you just have to sometimes do shit.
Yeah.
That's the perfectionist kind of mindset that
Yeah.
we talked about it before, which is you can analyze all day, but you still have to start doing shit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's always this. I don't like people talking about perfectionism in terms of it's bad.
Yeah.
I think that's not true.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Nah,
There's a lot of artists and
friends that are perfectionists. That are fucking
like when you watch a
awesome
movie, for example, like Dune,
Yeah.
and you say, oh, "Fuck, that movie is a masterpiece." Do you think the guy just made it like, oh,
No.
the first
No.
thought that came to mind?
No.
It was fucking perfected
Yeah.
to that extent.
Yeah.
But it's like there's a two side to everything, right?
Yeah.
Perfectionism is good in the sense of making things good quality,
Yeah.
but it's bad in terms of not even starting.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
have to kind of
Yes.
find your own balance with that. Like, I because I tried this and it didn't work for me, and I think people who maybe relate to what I'm saying can understand this. If you are a perfectionist by nature, like that's who you are,
Yeah.
don't try to fight it or silence it.
Yeah.
It's just gonna backfire on you.
Yeah.
I tried to make videos without even thinking,
Yeah.
and it was like, what the fuck? Like it's just weird. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't continue.
Yeah.
So what you should do is find the sweet spot
Yep.
of what is perfect for you.
Yep.
Don't say good enough,
Yeah.
because if you say good enough, it's a different term for you as a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Just say, oh, this is perfect enough.
Yeah.
Don't bullshit yourself, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that try to change your mindset.
Perfect enough.
Yeah,
I like that.
I am a perfectionist. It's perfect
Yeah.
enough for me,
Yeah.
and that's it. I'm gonna publish.
Yep.
And if you can find those kind of sweet spots, it's gonna work well for you. Because I'm not gonna lie to you. I tried all those kind of like, I was, like I told you, so big into personal development,
Yeah.
and I'm so fascinated by different strategies. Like
Yep.
some people say you have to write a journal every day. I tried
Right.
all of them.
Right.
I made a day by the minute. I made a day by the hour.
Yep.
I made a day by the sections. Like, oh, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and this. And I found that I was trying all of this without any kind of like real long-term consistency,
Yeah.
because I was fighting myself. I
Yeah.
was trying to change who I am, and you cannot do that. you can change your views, you can change your ideas,
Yeah.
but you cannot change the core itself.
Right.
And instead of fighting it, try to learn like Bruce Lee said, you know, it's like water.
Yeah.
Try to be smooth with it. Like
Yeah.
try to learn how to you know, how to be flexible with it, not like punch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the thing that I learned recently, and it's a very interesting you know, challenge
Yeah.
to find a way to be productive, but at the same time keep the qualities that makes you who you are,
Yeah.
not change yourself completely
Yeah. Yeah.
from either extremes.
Don't change, because then you're not you anymore. In life, it's all about cycles and finding sweet spots.
Yes.
Like I didn't have my sweet spot, but I was doing okay. And I came here, I didn't have a sweet spot till about freaking 2 years ago. Like I didn't even know what I was gonna do, and then I finally just everything came together. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this is
And
what I'm gonna do.
like I said, it's for me now it's becoming more apparent and more solidified as an idea,
Yeah.
which is if you know what to do, or you have some skills or some, you know, talent, whatever you're doing, focus on making that a big part of your day.
Yep.
In terms of, I'm gonna do a video today,
Yep.
I'm gonna make it good.
Yep.
But always think about, oh, am I actually posting, or am I actually publishing, am I actually consistent in terms of production?
Yeah.
So produce with whatever skills you have,
Yeah.
but focus on the idea of distribution,
Yeah.
you know, releasing your stuff, because it's easy to get stuck in either one of them. And before you told me you have a good website,
Yeah.
and I tried before, to be honest with you, I tried to just make a shitty website, like
Yeah.
just boom boom,
Yeah.
and I couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember like doing this, and the next day I woke up at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
opened my MacBook
Yeah.
and fucking fixed the thing, because
Yeah.
I couldn't like just do it. And I know the logo is like it's not about good. It's like different layout,
Yeah.
and the layout is not right.
Yeah.
And I can just, because I heard some people say you can just accept that
Yeah.
and let it go. I couldn't.
Right.
And why fight it?
Yeah.
I am good at design, for example, so why not use those skills, but at the same time focus on like distribution. So if you're producing something, distribute.
Yep.
And the next step could be exciting about making it more perfect. So if you're a perfectionist,
Yep.
oh, you can say, oh, I'm gonna make a video, it's perfect enough. Oh, I don't feel it's perfect enough because I need the music is not right. Maybe I can find another music.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait a second. You can flip it on yourself.
Yeah.
Don't fight it, flip
Yeah.
it. I'm gonna release this,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna release this now, and I'm gonna be excited or focused on the next video.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna
Yeah.
use that idea that I just got
Yeah.
about the music for that video.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's it. And that's how you build
You
momentum.
gotta let it go sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
I
very
made some
hard for
videos that
it's
I-
really hard
I'm
for
like,
perfectionists
oh my
to let it
God.
go.
I made it. It was like the best of my ability at that time. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is cool. I put a little time lapse in here, and the rain was hitting the water, and then 6 months later, I'm like, oh shit, that was crap. Like, oh, but I kept it up. You know, I'm
Yeah,
like,
and,
you
and
know,
like you said before,
you're gonna learn.
yeah,
You're gonna
focus
learn.
on the weaknesses you have in terms of production or skills.
Yeah.
And if you have some good skills and talents, don't spend too much time restructuring them, because a
Yeah.
lot of like self-help books and productivity tips, they kind of address everything from the beginning. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna be like a noob, right?
Yeah.
So they have to tell you everything you have to do, write this, write that.
Yeah.
And I think those kind of things are fine if you're like I don't know, a teenager, you don't have an experience with being productive. But if you already have previous experiences, you don't have to rework everything. It's gonna
Yeah.
confuse you. And
Yeah.
it did that for me a lot of times.
Yeah.
What you could do is like, hey, like I said, I'm a perfectionist. I'm good with branding and design. So it's almost like on auto.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
My brain, my body, my fingers will do that for me.
Yeah.
It's part of me. I don't have to rework it again, or what is branding. It's part of what I do, right? What I have to focus on is like I said, the weakness, which is, oh, I need to produce, and I need to be consistent and to release stuff.
Yep.
So if you focus on that and the other part is on autopilot,
Yeah.
you are on a good strategy.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job, because
Yeah.
you're producing, and you reiterate, you improve, and you continue. You do it again, and I feel like a lot of things like about productivity stuff can be very confusing. That's why I stopped listening to a lot of like podcasts or like audiobooks about how to be productive. Because after a while, it's gonna confuse you in terms of being consistent, and that's the big one. You can do it for 1 day or 1 week or even 1 month. I'm gonna give you 1 month. But after that, it just goes away.
Like you were saying, is if you got it all in your head and you're like, okay, I know exactly how to be productive, and then you just keep watching more motivational videos.
It's a procrastination.
Every damn day. You're like, well, bro, you're not fucking doing that. Like, like you're in the kitchen and you read the recipe and you know exactly how to do it. You got all the spices, you got everything, but fucking bake that cake or make that casserole. If you don't fucking have a product by listening to all that motivational stuff, then it's just out the window.
And what I realized recently, especially when it comes to content creator, and that's my website, Content Creator Life, is in a life of a content creator, it's usually those kind of things of how to be productive, but at the same time building something of quality. It takes practice. The reason I know what I know about design and like how to build a website is because I made a lot of websites. And I did it. Here's the funny thing: when I was like the perfectionist part of it is also a part of the idea of practice and doing stuff and releasing it. So it's like a paradox within the perfectionism, thinking, which is like. I couldn't be at this stage if I didn't do things and release them. I have a client work, I have to do it and release. You know what I mean? Like, so if I stayed with my first website until now, I would have no website done. So there's a part of like this kind of like being productive, but at the same time improving. It's part of anything you do in life, whether you feel you are a perfectionist or not. There's always practice, whatever you do.
You're gonna learn every time you say you're a painter, and every time you make a painting, you're gonna learn from that shit. You're gonna be like, oh well, this paint drips or this paint doesn't look good, and then.
And that investment is not lost. That's what I think bodybuilding can teach us, like fitness or bodybuilding can teach all of us. Because you're familiar with the muscle memory, right? So I stopped going to the gym in the lockdown for 6 months. The last lockdown, we had it was 6 months for the gym. It was 4 months for us in the house. You cannot maybe go out. But the gym was closed for 6 or 7 months, I think. That's a big time for a bodybuilder to be off. But here's the thing, like when I came back after 1 week, I kind of got my hang of things. And it was easy to do deadlifts, go back.
That's what they say.
It's not lost. It's gonna take you time to go back, but it doesn't take me 8 years to fucking go back to the same level. It's gonna take you a few weeks or a few months.
Same thing.
And that's the thing about practice. Is just it's an investment in the future. It's not an investment in the now.
Exactly. And if you never go to the gym, or like same thing with basketball, you could practice your whole life and then take a year off. You get back on that court. Your body remembers how to shoot. It may take you 2 weeks to get back to your normal shooting form, but all the practice you've done your whole life,
it's gonna take
you're at
time.
the top of the curb again, very much quicker.
And that's what I really start to appreciate about life in general. Not even my life story, life in general. It's like it's a percentages of things you do. So I used to be very down on myself when I stopped being consistent, right? So when I stopped being consistent and stopped doing the productivity kind of like every day I have to do something. It's okay. It's not there. I mean, what is it?
It's a big that's one of those beetles.
Is it dangerous? No.
Nah.
That's okay. Leave it alone.
Crawling away.
Anyways,
it's a beetle this big on the table. How'd it get up to the 34th floor, man? How the hell?
So funny. Like what I start to appreciate is the idea of like if you so I used to feel very bad about not being consistent, and I would even write off a fucking whole week because the last week was bad. So for me it was like this is the perfectionist mindset. which is, oh, if today I had a plan to make 5 videos, very ambitious, right? And I made only 4.
Yeah.
It's a big failure.
Oh, shit.
So the next day I will feel like shit and like why?
Yeah.
And I would get stuck into why I failed, and it doesn't have to happen again. And like what I started to realize recently, it's not something that I had before. It's just by learning. It's okay to do 80% of the work.
Yeah.
90%.
That's
60%
more than 0.
Exactly.
Yep.
And when you look at it when you are in that zone of like one day, so things are one day, it looks bad, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at it in terms of like one fucking year or like 5 years, those things compound.
Yep.
And 80% of this year, 20% of this year, 60%, 50, 15, 5%.
Yeah.
You can add up all this shit and you can have production, what you did and what you didn't do.
Yep.
And that's a very realistic and more sustainable perspective than the idea of just like being constant of 100% all the time. If it's not 100%, it's 0%. That's more dangerous. That's more, if you compound those things, actually the 100 and 0%, they add up to more to less percentage than the small amounts. And I feel that I didn't realize this before because I was a pure perfectionist. Either all way or no way. And once you realize that life is a mix of things and it's in the middle, it's not black and white, it's gray, you realize, wow, today I did 2 videos. I want to do 3. Fuck, that's great. Tomorrow, maybe I can do 3. Oh, tomorrow I did only 1. Fuck, what's happening? Oh, maybe because, oh, wait a second, 2 videos a day, that's too much. 1 video is the sweet spot. Okay, good. Now we can move on with that consistency. So you start to adapt. And I feel like perfectionists like me, they have a problem with their goals. So when I still have to deal with this. I'm not gonna lie that it's kind of fixed.
Right.
I always have to deal with this. Perfectionists, they set goals so perfect, not realistic, so perfect. It's really hard for them or for us to change the goal. So I would rather change myself than change the goal. Which is kind of like it's unrealistic. It's not gonna sustain you. So I learned now to accept the fact that my goals were full of shit. Not realistic. 2 videos a day, that's too much. That's 1 video a week.
You spend time on your video.
Yes, I try to make them good, but like that's perfectionism right there. But it's also the idea of what is good enough for a perfectionist. I think there's no clear answer. It's a compromise you have to make with yourself. Because a perfectionist would never say that it's good enough. Because there's always something to improve, right? And in my own experience, I don't know how other perfectionists feel, but in my own experience, I always had a logical reason for my perfectionism, which was other people that I saw that had this kind of like similar focus on quality, only quality, and now they're very successful. One of them is like MKBHD, which he's a tech YouTuber with like 15 million subscribers or more. African American, if you see him.
I think I've seen
MKBHD, Marques Brownlee. He's super famous and stuff.
I've seen him,
but he makes like 1 video a week, or now he's making more like 2, but he used to do like 1 video a week, and the video was like perfect, like great, just focus on quality. And my mind was always like, oh, maybe that's the way to be successful, right? To focus on quality, because perfectionism is always about quality. But then again, if I think even about MKBHD, his story, he did 1 video a week for 10 years. And sometimes as a perfectionist, you can find the bias in those kind of examples because you only see the quality part. You don't see the consistency. We try to dismiss the consistency because it's not important for us. I want to see the quality. Oh, his video is perfect. The music. Oh my, how did he do that? And you start to get deeper into the rabbit hole of making it perfect. But you forget about the consistency part. Is that, and that's the consistency idea or philosophy will give you the good enough, compromise. If you don't have that idea of consistency, you will never find a compromise. I remember like one video I was supposed to finish it in like, I gave myself 1 week, it turned into 3 months.
Yeah.
1 week became 3 months. Because every time I shot it in different places, a rooftop, go to landmark, go here. But then again, the music is not right, so I had to find the right music. And time passes by, I'm like always trying to do better. And here's the funny thing, like I realized that I was over my time limit, or my, my 1 week deadline. But I was convincing myself that, oh, it's quality. I'm looking for better and better. So I kind of made a compromise in favor of perfectionism rather than consistency. And of course, after 3 months, I released the video. It didn't get a lot of views. It was a big kind of disappointment. But then I realized, wait a fucking second, like why I struggled. I mean, of course, you can make an argument of the things I learned along the way, the skills. I learned a lot of things about how to, different shooting, different style. That's good. That's good in terms of practice. But in terms of consistency, it doesn't give you a long, like, breath or a long runway to keep going. Because you make 1, 2, 3 videos, let's say 3 months, and the results are not great. Why? Because to get results, you have to focus on quantity first, with whatever quality you have, whatever is best at the moment. And the quantity will get you those kind of, especially when we're talking about YouTube, will get you the views, will get you the exposure. And when people start to see that you have quality that came from the quantity, then then it becomes easier for you to make one video 3 months. And I was doing that with, like, I was comparing myself to those kind of like YouTubers at that stage. They make a video in like 1 month or like 2 months, and they make it great. But they did all those things that I just talked about before going to that stage. And I didn't see it before. I was like, oh, I just want to jump. I want to have a shortcut. I want to just jump there. You can't. You have to pay the price, and the price is consistency with whatever you have at the moment, and not trying to suppress your perfectionism, because that's the reason you are who you are. That's the quality part. Because there are a lot of, like, let's say if you make a tech video, for example, there are a lot of people who make shitty videos. They just shoot them on their phone, and the camera is shaky. They're fucking, like, they talk about iPhone, but they're shooting their cat. So, and those videos, you can see the comments. People say it's a shitty video. Everybody knows it's a shitty video. But like, that person could actually get more exposure than you if you make a quality video, because they focus on the quantity first. It's like, I feel the first game is just about quantity. How much you can release in this amount of time.
That's funny, because I just switched my whole strategy, like doing that. Like before, I was like, I'm not putting out any video that I'm not, that I don't fully edit and add sound, and I put in all these time lapses, and now I'm like, okay, well, I'm still getting the same amount of views if I do.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not about the views. It's more about like
momentum,
bro. So now I got videos scheduled. I'm gonna put them out every day at 12 noon.
That's my plan
until
now.
There's that beat. Until so now I got like 6 videos lined up every day at 12 noon for the next 6 days. And they're snippets of other videos, or they're shorts or something like that. But then when I get my really good video, I'm gonna have momentum, and I might have a few more followers, or the algorithm might be noticing me more when I do put out that fucking stunner video.
And that's what happens usually. Like those kind of like exposure videos, or let's say the viral videos, they happen after like 50 or like 80 like other shitty metrics. Not shitty videos, but shitty metrics, like low views, nothing. But it's like, it's a compounding effect. Nothing just goes to the abyss. It doesn't disappear. It adds up in terms of the traffic.
It does.
And I might sound preachy now about this, but I'm talking to myself more than I'm talking to people. I'm telling this to myself because I'm still struggling with this. I need to hear this from myself, because sometimes your logical, like explaining things to other people, can sound very concise and logical, but I do have my own biases that made me have some kind of like cognitive dissonance. I might not hear myself unless I speak it. You know what I mean? So yeah, now that I speak about this, I'm like, oh, wait a second, I'm still full of shit. Why I'm trying to make
Yeah.
like 2 videos a day in my plan, and maybe I could change it to 1 video.
Yeah.
And it's always this idea of like maximizing. It's the thing that I'm trying to kind of like figure out, is maximizing the amount of time you have every day.
Yep.
So how many videos can I make every day to get to that goal?
Yep.
And sometimes, like I said, you don't have to change yourself to get to that goal. Change the goal and make it more reasonable, because you want to focus on the long term. And for me, maybe like making 1 video for a tech YouTube channel is the maximum I could do.
Yeah.
Especially with the kind of quality and the kind of like style that I want to make. Otherwise, I can make 5 videos a day if I want.
Yeah.
But maybe not the quality that I expect or my followers expect. So you always have to find that kind of compromise between quality and quantity.
It's true. It's true. Just like a sweet spot, bro. It's tough to get. If you're gonna take your time, then maybe that's why I want to put these videos out quickly, because then maybe I'll be like, I want to change this. I want to change this. Let it sit for another few days, and then. For me, it's like I just want to put them out now.
You always like find a way to change anything in your process that's kind of like stopping you or is a bottleneck.
Yeah.
For example, for me, it was like the scripting, like I explained to you before.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking of, oh, wait a second, I don't have to make a script word for word.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a script before. I used to like make personal development videos or fitness videos just on the spot. But now I'm forcing myself to do scripts for tech videos.
Yeah.
Wait a second, maybe there's a middle. It doesn't have to be black and white. Maybe I can make bullet points.
Bullet point.
And as a geek or a nerd, because my channel called Minimal Nerd.
Yeah.
As a nerd, I have enough knowledge or expertise in some specific things that I can talk about them without scripting, right?
Yeah.
So it's just gonna have like a structure of the video, and that's what I'm thinking about now. Like that's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm trying to find a way, because here's the funny thing. Like I spent almost 2 months since the lockdown was lifted. I spent 2 months structuring my schedule with like how many scripts I can write, and it didn't come to my mind that I can actually. It's almost like I got stuck with the idea of I have to make a script to make a good video, and that's it. So the other option is to fix my schedule, fix my time, fix me. But now it's like, wait a second, maybe I don't have to force myself with this bottleneck of a script, because it's now the biggest bottleneck I have. It used to be editing, used to be filming, used to be the gear. Like I have the MacBook, I have gear that I can rent or whatever. But now I have all of those things, but the biggest bottleneck is the fucking script. It's like I cannot shoot a video until the script is done. And it's like a fucking nightmare that I have to like think about I mean, there are some parts of the script, the scripting that I think are very important. That's what I teach people in the video marketing, in terms of the hook, the story, the expedience of delivery. Go to the point, straight to the point. Don't like blah 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 too much, and the script can help you with that. But you don't have to do it to the extreme of like word by word. You can do it like in different, like you said, bullet points, ideas, and you can just make a good video with that. You don't have to, do, and probably that will give the video a kind of like a different style that people might appreciate. They can feel that you're talking from a structure, but you're talking from a more spontaneous angle, not just a scripted angle.
It's more real. You use the words that you use in your everyday speech, like when you're writing a speech or giving a speech.
It's more perfected,
you want it.
I feel like I'm writing like on the Telegraph.
You don't want to read off a paper. You want to. Okay, so say your main point is A, right? So you want to talk about A. Maybe you put a little bullet point on paper so you remember, and then next you're gonna put B. Next you're gonna put C. Okay, and then you come off the top of your head, and it sounds more real.
Yeah, because I think what also kind of encapsulated this idea for my channel is the name of the channel, Minimal Nerd. So it was about as minimal as possible. No fluff. No bullshit. Because there are some videos on YouTube, to be honest, that are kind of like, hey, when are you gonna get to the point?
Bro,
and you can see it in the comments. The video starts at maybe
Yep.
8 minutes
Oh,
or whatever.
God, bro.
And I used to hate those kind of
Me
videos. You know?
too. I refuse to watch them. I'll be
Yeah.
like, okay, I need advice on my camera. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll fucking go. That video is. I'm making this video because.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, I'm
Where
like,
the
God
fucking
damn.
solution? Where's
Give
the...
me the guy who
Yeah.
just got the mouse and he's just clicking and
Yeah,
he's talking.
do it now.
Yeah, like, all right.
So just to go back to what I
Yeah.
was saying, like that's exactly what I wanted my channel to be about. Straight
Yeah.
to the point, no
Yeah.
bullshit, no fluff.
Yeah,
But the idea itself was not the problem.
yeah,
The idea was how to do it, and I
Yeah.
felt that only scripting was the only way.
yeah.
And then I talked to other people, maybe like you, others that said,
Yeah.
"Oh, wait a second, you can have some bullet points, and you can
Yeah.
at the same time be more concise and
Yeah.
direct. You don't have
Yeah.
to like this way or no way. You know?
Like you talking to a person, like you talking to me right now.
Yeah.
You can explain it like that, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, okay, I get it." Oh. And you use your own words
Exactly.
instead of
And
scripting.
And that was, I think, my biggest bottleneck, especially
Yeah.
for the tech channel. That I feel like, oh fuck, I could be making actually
Yeah.
actually I could be making 5 videos a day
Yeah.
with that
Yeah.
strategy of
Yeah.
like just because I am like I come from a, let's say, a public speaking background, and
Yeah.
I can talk all day. So
Yeah.
sorry guys if I talk too much.
It's
But
okay.
that's what I like. That's come natural to me. Like
Yeah.
I love talking about
Yeah.
subjects.
Yeah.
But when it comes to making videos on YouTube, I put those kind of restrictions on myself by making a script word for word. And I think because I listened to some podcasts maybe before about success on YouTube, and they kind of emphasize this idea of like making a script,
Yeah,
especially for tech. Because
yeah,
to be honest, tech is a very different field than other YouTube topics.
yeah.
Like
it
if you're
is.
talking about personal development on YouTube,
Yeah,
probably you don't need a script.
it's emotion.
Yeah, it's emotion. But
Yeah.
when it comes to tech reviews and
yeah.
stuff like that,
You gotta
it's kind of tricky.
Specs and specific.
Yeah. So what I'm learning now,
Yeah.
I don't want to say I learned because learn it's already done. I mean,
Right.
what I'm learning is that I can actually be more specific about topics with like bullet points, specs that I don't know,
Yeah,
without word for word scripting,
Yeah.
which takes a lot of time and
yeah. Because if you mess up one word, you have to start it all over.
Fuck
again.
yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the funny thing,
Yeah.
you know, because it's so funny because I am naturally a speaker.
Yeah,
I sometimes change my script and I fuck up while shooting.
Yeah.
So I'm reading the script, but
Yeah.
my mind is
Yeah.
changing it for me real
yeah,
time.
yeah.
I'm like, that's not what I like. It's like,
Yeah.
fuck, I need to change my eyes.
Yeah.
That's not what
Yeah.
I'm seeing.
Yeah,
And it's like, yeah, like
Yeah.
it's like a struggle because I'm reading like, okay, so I'm reading the script
Yeah.
and I'm getting new ideas on the spot
Yeah.
and I'm changing it and
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, why? And then I have to do it again and again and again.
Yeah.
And it's like, why this struggle? Just
yeah,
speak from the top of my mind. And I
Yeah.
think it's also because of the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't trust myself enough as a nerd or
Yeah.
geek.
Yeah.
Because the pressure on being a nerd or a geek is very high, you know?
Right.
You have to be like a fucking hacker in terms
Yeah.
of the information. Like, boom,
Yeah.
tuck, tuck, tuck. And I don't have to.
Yeah.
I'm just a guy who loves tech.
Yeah.
I like MacBooks. I like PC. I like gaming.
Yeah.
I know some stuff. I help my friends all the time with their tech problems and information. So why not just give that? And what really inspired me was one guy is called the Everyday Dad. I don't know if you know him. He's a tech. He's an everyday dad. Everyday dad.
Yeah.
Even from his look, he
Right.
looks like a dad, right?
Right.
But when he talks about tech, he's like, he does review for cameras, MacBooks, everything.
Okay.
But the way he talks is just like a
Yeah.
dad. Like
Yeah.
he loves tech, but he talks normally. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't have to use fancy vocabulary and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, for me, it was like wait a second, like I can do something like that. Like
Yeah.
just talk normally and.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes we get stuck in our own ideals from just looking at what other people are doing.
And a lot of people, they'll fall in love with you on your video. They're not gonna fall. Like anybody could recite the specs
And
recite
research, yeah.
The camera zooms this much,
Exactly.
3x, like, but they're gonna watch your next video because they like you. And
I think
and
I think now I
authenticity,
know I know that it was more like a fear of that.
Yeah.
I was afraid of being myself,
Yeah.
which is really
I know.
funny to
Isn't
say
that
that
crazy?
with my experience.
That's crazy.
I don't know why, but I feel that all of us,
Yeah.
I think you can relate to this, but
Yeah.
every human being, whenever we do something new,
Yeah.
it's almost like we forgot everything we learned from everything else.
Yeah.
It's like you have to learn again, or you have to hear it from someone else.
Yep.
Because for me, when I did the tech videos, like, oh fuck, I had the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Or maybe people will think I'm a fake nerd.
Yeah.
What the fuck is a fake nerd? Oh, for me, is a fake nerd is somebody who doesn't know information on the spot.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the specs of the new MacBook?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I know it. Yeah. What the fuck is that? Just like an idea of like what a nerd's supposed to be, and
Yeah.
I think now that I analyze my fears, like, oh, I was gonna be a fraud as a nerd.
Yeah.
So I had this high expectation of like, I'm supposed to be this kind of like techie guy, knows everything,
Right.
and it's a fear. It's based on fear.
Rattling off all the
Yeah, I know
information.
everything. Boom, boom. Intel did this. Blah, blah.
Right,
I don't
right.
have to research.
Yeah.
It's just fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Like even the tech YouTubers that I respect, they talk all the time about some mistakes they make all the time about specs and stuff, and
Yeah.
for them after a long time they just like chill with it. Like you don't have to know everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's fear is the reason I kind of maybe moved to scripting and like being very analytic about it, like top information, like
Yeah.
oh, the MacBook took only 15 minutes with this
Yeah.
test, and everything is detailed, everything is perfected, and it comes from fear. Then
Yeah.
now that I think about it, like I was afraid of people knowing who I am
Yeah.
as a person,
Yeah.
which is fucking insane to say that, but
Yeah.
that's the reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Be yourself, because then the more you change yourself or something, you're gonna lose yourself, and then they're like, oh, I don't like this guy he's trying to be. Where's the real him?
Yeah.
You know.
Because
Yeah.
I put like an ideal on myself that I didn't realize, like, which is I have this image of what a tech YouTuber looks like,
Yeah.
and it's usually a combination of people I admire,
Yeah.
and it's usually
Yeah.
a combination of the best things I admire about them. So you create a perfect image
Yeah.
of like what tech YouTuber looks like,
Yeah.
and then you want to live up to that ideal.
Yeah.
But then it's not based on reality or like on real on real things like human emotions, and
Yeah.
we have different perspectives. And the funny thing is that the reason I wanted to start the YouTube channel, that kind of like maybe the reason kind of became a bit vague for me, maybe that's why I kind of drifted away, was because when I talk to my friends about tech, they kind of trust my advice.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, when I talk to my friends like Damien, for example,
Yeah.
I don't talk to you like I'm making a fucking script.
Yeah.
If you ask
Yeah.
me like now, hey, can you tell me which MacBook is good? I'm gonna take a second. I'm like say,
Yeah.
okay, so what do you want to do?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you like, well, what's the reason you want to buy it?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your budget? I'm gonna be very like natural with you. I don't
Yeah.
have to tell you, oh, this is the best one, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I kind of forgot about that. The reason I started the channel is because my friend Alex is a French guy here, and he said like, wait a second, you're so good with this kind of like tech and stuff. Why don't you share your knowledge on YouTube, whatever? I was like,
Yeah.
really? Nah. Because I was always a techie guy, you know.
Right.
I build computers. I love gaming,
Yeah.
the PC gaming, all this. And it was like, yeah, why don't you make a YouTube channel? I was like, oh, really? And I was like, oh yeah, fine. But then my mind's completely like moved to the ideal. I looked at the perfect YouTubers, tech
Yeah.
YouTubers, MKBHD,
Yeah.
others. Like, oh, I want to do it like that, you know.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to.
That's what I did too, because I got.
It's not too late. I'm like 2 years in YouTube now, but I'm just
yeah.
realizing. I just realizing how the fuck to do it, or.
I know, because I wanted to be, because I watched Casey Neistat
Neistat, yeah, you
videos.
wanna
I'm
do
like,
it.
that's fucking awesome. Like,
Yeah, I wanna do it like that.
I want to make all my videos like I'm gonna listen to him.
Yeah.
And fucking do everything like him. And I'm like, oh, you know what? That was just. Why would I want to be like the clone and make all my shit exactly like his? That's not fun.
And you cannot win that game
Yeah,
because you're
you can't.
competing with him.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to be like him.
Exactly.
But if you focus on who you are, and
Yeah.
there's no Damien who does
Yeah.
this or that, you know.
Yeah, I'll do it my way, and it doesn't matter if I'm as successful or fuck, who knows? Some people might. He even tell people don't do shit.
My style,
I'll
yeah.
tell you how to do it, but don't fucking do
Copy
my
me,
shit, because you fucking be. He's like, be yourself. Make your own style videos. I'll tell you exactly how I make my shit. You put your time lapses in between here and this and then you film and you use this camera for this. And it's like, but don't do it.
Yeah.
He's like, this is how you do it, but don't do it.
Going back to the controversy that's happening now,
Yeah.
I think that's the reason Joe Rogan is so popular now, is because he's doing his own thing that's so different from the mainstream media.
Yeah.
And if you look at anything like at CNN, CNBC, Fox News, it's the same school, the same way, the same delivery, the same thing, the same vocabulary even. So for me, like, the reason like Joe Rogan is so popular is because people were craving for something different.
Yeah.
And they couldn't find it anywhere else.
Yeah.
Except for a few places. But Joe Rogan became like the biggest podcast in the world.
And he'll interview the people that are not allowed on mainstream media.
And here's the funny thing: if there's like,
he'll get drunk, he'll smoke a blunt with Elon Musk. Like,
and if somebody else tries to become the next Joe Rogan, he will fail miserably.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to find your own voice. And it doesn't have to be like, because sometimes people think about the same thing as the same format. No, it's not about the same format. It's like if you copy things word for, not word for, but like every aspect of it, then it becomes a problem. You can copy the format, which is like long form podcast. It doesn't mean that you should not do a long form podcast because Joe Rogan is doing it. That's not the idea, right? But you can find your own way into it. Maybe you can make some jokes in between, right? Maybe you add animation as a designer, whatever. So whatever it is you want to do, just find a way to do it in your own style. And then,
like I did this podcast for my buddy. He hired me to do like 5 podcasts for his company, and I was taking it super seriously. I would at the end I came up with this thing like word association. I tell you a word, and you tell me the first thing that popped in your head. And the guests, they loved it. They're like, "Oh shit, that's fuck. Can I take your idea? I'm starting my own podcast. Can I tell you?" I was like,
just fine, do it.
Go. But I don't do it for my podcast because this podcast is more like natural. I'm just talking one-on-one. But yeah, and I would have never came up with that if I studied Larry King. Before, because it was like a real job. I was gonna get paid for doing podcasting instead of just like the one I had to. So I was like, okay, let me watch Larry King. Let me watch the best interviewers and learn from them. And I learned, and then maybe in the middle of the night, I just came up with this. I'm like, oh shit. So you never know if you're being creative, you'll get some inspiration. Like but you gotta put pressure on yourself to actually do it. You know what I mean? Totally. That was some pressure I got put on. I was like, oh shit, I'm about to interview. I interviewed the top real estate people, and I was like, I don't really even know that much about real estate, so I just learn. And then I still did it my own way, and I had fun with it, and they were laughing when I did it, so it was cool. Yeah,
find your way.
Yeah, exactly. Do it your own way. You can't.
It's easier said than done, just to be clear.
Because no one wants to view a cheap knockoff of the fucking
someone else.
Oh, he's doing what the best guy in the world is doing, but he's doing it exactly the same, but he's not as good as that guy.
Yeah,
they're not
exactly.
gonna watch you.
You don't want people compare you to others. Just oh, that's the guy who does that. No.
Yeah, that's the guy who copies him. Like, no, just be yourself. It's much better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Where are we at now?
Okay, I think we can stop here.
2 hours now. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Zach, thanks for coming on, my man.
It was a pleasure.
Enjoyed it. Yeah.
Really interesting.
Check out Zach. Here, plug all your stuff. Minimal Nerd on YouTube.
Minimal Nerd on YouTube. The website for video marketing is Content Creator Life.
Content Creator Life. And I'll put all the links, as I always do. I'll put all the links in the description. And appreciate it, bro.
Thanks. It was a pleasure.
Pleasure.
Cheers.
Later, guys.
Stay peaceful.
Yep.